My gamers, howdy! Alright, the Sunday afternoon is nearing 5 p.m. CEST. In fact, we are in that summertime, and that means the weekly Bounty Hunters is just about ready to get started as well. So for the upcoming 3 hours before the night is over, we should have settled the 7 show matches shown on the screen currently and crowned 7 champions as victors of the evening. Our humble little event has no skill level restrictions and is therefore open to everybody to participate. But of course, we always try to make every match as even as possible also. The name of the game today is once again Guilty Gear Strive, and the format is first to 7 wins. I'm your usual host YoKai, and now let's get this party started because we are also a little short on time for, I believe, our first pair has requested to start a little earlier than usual. So we're gonna try to start this like 4:55. So like usually 5 minutes, around 5 minutes before the usual go time. Now, while we do have a couple of minutes before things get started, it is gonna be quite the roller coaster pacing again tonight. We're starting with decently high level matches. First, of course, Koi on the number scene before Axel on Bounty Hunters is gonna go up against Emu. Then we have a rerun of a random select match between Kitty and Icarus, which was absolutely down to the wire last time. Then we're gonna have a small mini segment of our intermediate matches where we have 2 newcomers, 2 players making their debuts, namely Nekrath Sin and SavesHaven Elfalt, I believe. Metadona and Yorokobi are relatively often seen on Bounty Hunters. I mean, Yorokobi is kind of new still to that roster, but you get the idea. And then we finish up the evening with 3 relatively high-level matches. Of course, we first have Poke versus Strelitzia. Absolute nail-biter, probably gonna be. Definitely don't miss that. But then we have a double Finnish player sub-character match here as Rygand and ZoKHiZ enter the ring with side hustles of sort. So Rygand has already been introduced to Bounty Hunters on their Sin, and it's been, you know, it's definitely increasing in strength as time goes by. For ZoKHiZ, this is a relatively new acquisition, I believe, Biken. So even though, you know, Radune and ZoKHiZ are probably fairly familiar with one another, there's gonna be really interesting twists where I'm not actually sure how well versed ZoKHiZ is yet on that Biken, but we're gonna find that out later. But now it is almost go time, the requested 5 minutes before we usually start, and we're gonna hop into this Axel matchup. Axel, a character, have we seen a single one on season 4 yet? I think if we have, it's been very, very few in numbers. And of course, Koi being a master of many characters, capable of doing also random select challenges fairly comfortably, has a very wide roster of characters that they can pilot. Of course, Axel is one of the higher level characters out of those. This is going to be a fairly classic standard zoner versus, or I guess not standard, but definitely classic in fighting games, zoner versus a speedster character. Much better, I think, in the Guilty Gear Strive compared to previous iterations of these character matches. For, you know, Chip has had a teleport in the past, which is a tremendous help for advancing on Axel, who is basically the de facto zoning character of Guilty Gear, basically the Guilty Gear franchise. There really has not been another one of the kind. You could maybe argue Justice in ACPR, but even that is kind of like, is that a zoner character? But Axel is definitely true zoner, the same way Dalsim is in Street Fighter. But yeah, we are basically ready to rock it if the players want to hit the play button. in we go just like that. No questions asked. Action coming through. So Emu, I think the side lore for Emu is that I think Emu started using an alternative means of inputting things some time ago. Was it? I forgot what it was. I would need to pull out my cheat sheet to check. But Emu has been like on the grind for, you know, getting all the inputs right as of recent. Although the last Emu match was already quite convincing. So, you know, if you know how to play fighting games, and if you have played fighting games a lot in the past, it's not the worst ordeal to get a new, you know, controller type down. And we're starting immediately with an aggressive approach from Emu and very defensive approach from Koi. As one moves forward, one moves back, one moves backwards. With a double jump going over the tornado, won't be able to get an anti-air here, and that tightrope is paying dividends for Emu. Oh, interesting here. Maybe some sort of a mistake here. We'll get the wall break, no problem. Would be really nice to get the heart knockdown in order to basically lock your opponent into the positive bonus conundrum. Now, maximum damage here. This won't break the wall. In fact, Sanseroka will take the opponent off the wall, but good recognition there how much damage it's gonna do. That's usually, I believe, is gonna be more damage than what you would get on Banki Messa if you were to take the wall. But you better make sure it's gonna kill, because the situation ain't gonna be as good as after the wall break heart knockdown, of course. Now from the throw, we're starting the pressure. Even though we are talking about a zoner character, this is Guilty Gear Strive. No matter what your character's archetype basically is, everybody is a very offensive character in this game, in a sense. And Axel, of course, definitely has tools to make it work. Oh, we're so tricky here. Again, with the tightrope. Is it left? Is it right? What's it gonna be? Another tightrope. That was a misinput probably, but still won't be able to get out of the corner here, Koi. So Emu sealing the first game win in a very convincing fashion, as you might imagine, if Chip gets things started. This character, Axel, is relatively weak on defense compared to many other characters. Of course, you have one of the best 5-framers. Your 2K is a low, reaches relatively far, and is a 5-framer, but that's kind of where the defensive advantages kind of end with Axel. Ooh, finding a frame trap with a red wild assault. That's another interesting thing, that we have a zoner who does have the most aggressive variant of the wild assaults out of the three. Oh, that was so tricky. It was really hard to guess which side to block. Tried to go for a throw, and now big counter hit for Emu. This is going to be a massive cash out into a reset. Not quite at the 50 tension threshold yet. Could this be a wall break? No, he's going to set up a mix-up situation with the ending frames of the remaining tightrope. Actually, the tightrope stays active for quite a long time. Alright, and able to position himself correctly there at the end, and the triple jump does land into a punishable position, starting with a Brainwater. Another very defensive kind of special move. Moves Axel backwards, defends your airspace, and offers usually pretty decent combos on hit. But again, this conundrum, when you're being pressured by one of the trickiest, one of the fastest, one of the slickest character in Guilty Gear Strive, and here is the heart knockdown, positive bonus pressure, finds a counter hit. That's definitely gonna be a kill. Just in case that Koi had a burst there, going for like a last sort of lizard brain reaction. Does he have a burst? Do I even have time to check? But when you're at that low of a health situation, you don't necessarily have to check their meter situation. If you have the tension, just go for one more RC just in case. Wakes up with a 6B, and we'll be able to beat Emu's, I think it was a far slash. Generally, that's kind of like what you're looking for if you wake up with a 6B. You're trying to sort of catch the opponent's close slash turning into far slash again here. A little bit of a damage, but now we need to win the zoning war. Has been going into that tornado in order to try to have coverage in front, but every single time Emu has been taking out the tightrope and or just going with the double jumps, going with the triple jumps, completely avoiding that advancing pillar of hitbox that the tornado is. So I guess, like, what do? I guess you just, you know, put yourself in a good anti-air position, try to catch the angle with which Emu is coming in. For it is still, like, even if it's chipped, even if you have a triple jump, it's, ooh, alright, going for a OPG burst here. Straight into the tornado. However, the DP puts Koi in the corner, and now the punish on the high Rekka. Switch sides. However, that side switch not going unpunished. Emu was ready to press on the landing. Comes the combo again. Slightly unfortunate. We would have had the Karabanki Messai ready to go. And now switching sides again. Look a little scrappy here in terms of the frames. Hopefully the match is not too bad for the players. Here we go once again, the aggressive starter. However, with the amount of momentum that Emu can go in with, that 6B might actually end up whiffing if you do the instant air dash really high up in the air, or if your opponent is reacting super fast. There are a lot of different angles. Speaking of angles here, going over the tornado once again, finding hit. And with the RC and then some, we should definitely have the kill here. Yeah, once again, the instant air dash, but it's coming from a little different angle than last time, and that might make the opponent hesitate a little. Ooh, misses the ender, however, going back into the zoning as fast as possible. Yeah, once again, forcing Emu into that very, very upwards angle with the double jumps and triple jumps, but it's been working out. The jumpings have been excellent for Emu so far. This is kind of the focus conundrum for Axel Low. You are a character that seals off the grounded game. Therefore, your job number one is to anti-air the opponent. And of course, just about everyone is going to be jumping at you. Now Emu with so much meter for meter, making sure that there's no shenanigans. That's a good starter! And finally Koi having some success here. It is still relatively high amount of damage per hit that you are scoring from these neutral situations. Even though we don't consider Axel a damage character, we are comboing the softest character in the game. Like, look at this, 1-2 heavy is already like 1/8 of your character, and you don't really need to land too many of those. That was a close slash going immediately into the burst. What's the combo as a result here? Clone into 5 heavy, big counter hit. Setting up the Kara Super, misses the input for it though. Would have definitely want the Banki Messai if possible. There we go, there's the anti-air. And that's already boding so much better than the 3 games earlier. If Koi can find those anti-airs, it's gonna look like a completely different match from now on. Oh, I'm being very, very tricky here with the jump over and then the instant air backdash into the overhead. Very basic stuff, but of course, you know, oh, that's gonna be a punish. Oh, is it -7 though? I'm pretty sure it should be close slash punishable, but Koi might have had a little bit of a delay there in the punish. Ramp trap into Snail successfully. Very high commit, but if it works, it does work. Oh, the Snail, it's so high as well. Maybe that's another thing that we want to try to use. YRC was very far, but still lands. Snatches the corner. And again, no fakes it, but Koi blocks successfully. Not quite close enough to the Karabanki Messai there for, ooh, the delay, perfect. And built the 50 meter and got the kill right there. Nice, perfectly, perfect pacing, perfect timing on that offense. Being able to thread the needle and dodge that first deflect shield that Koi brought onto the table. Ooh, again, was that the Snail? I think that was the Snail again that clipped Emu's downwards alpha. But we are still in the tribes. Oh, never mind. Backdash that Rekka too and getting a punish as a result. But now, there we go, the Karabanki Messai. Big reward. Even though not necessarily the biggest reward in terms of damage, but look at this position. This is such a classic place to be. And as long as you don't abort the sequence, such as you use the YRC that Koi used here, you're in such a bad position. And I think this is gonna kill, right? Unless, no. I mean, happy little accidents, dropping the combo, maybe on purpose, maybe on accident, but we were still able to get the close slash perfect meaty there for Emu, so it doesn't really matter that much when your opponent is still in a very, very nasty position as a result. And sometimes it can be double nasty if you think that your opponent just dropped the combo and you're like, oh, is it my turn now? Did they make a huge blunder? Is like, can I punish this? Good timing on the burst, putting Emu in the corner. Emu, of course, no burst left. Finishing touch left with all the double jumps, and then the downwards alpha as well, acting as a maybe like a fourth jump in a way. I guess if you're looking at double and triple jumps in the way that they sort of modify your momentum in the air, I guess you can use the alpha blade for that purpose as well. Switching sides. This could be really close to a kill unless the wall gives it a little too early. Those Axel Bomber loops are fairly damaging as far as Axel's damage is concerned. So really hard to find anything that hits as hard as those do. So if you do have an opponent in the corner, damage can be delivered even with this character Axel low.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Very important win for Koi there. Ooh, but the very early burst turns into a bait. Luckily for Koi, Emu doesn't quite have the 50 meter yet, which is the cornerstone of, you know, getting to your victory condition. Watch to take this wall break with a soft one. Checking with a 2K. One of the secret sources of playing against Chip Saneth, or just overall the super fast characters of Guilty Gear Strive, is using the K buttons a little bit more than your heavier buttons. And because Axel Low is... oh, attacks it with a 6K here at the end. Because Axel's P buttons are a little strange and they could be considered like S or heavy button equivalents, you don't really have a whole lot of choice here if you want to sort of tag... oh, but hold that thought, we got a big 2S anti-air here. Those are exactly the ones that Koi is gonna need, and taps with the 5D from almost a mile away. Wait a second, is Axel's 5D actually much longer range than standard? That was like, what, 3-4 character lengths away almost? Looked like, maybe 3? Into the Wild Assault, pressure ensues. Emu does get out of there with the double jump, and then the downwards alpha at the end. Command grab is good. Nearing that 50 tension threshold. However, on the way down, tags Emu and then baits the bird as well. Potentially one more hit. Emu does have the 50 meters, so options are available. Tries to use it for checkmate. However, Axel is not available that day. The neutral jump, making the 2S too heavy. Whiff, cancel on whiff, Gatling string completely whiff. And gets a chance on the way down, a chance that Koi definitely won't let fly, and evens it 3 points each here, very early in the first set of Bounty Hunters tonight. Nice frame trap, immediate burst, yeah. Koi is definitely getting warmed up. Started a little shaky, but you know, that's kind of how it is. That's the beautiful, one of the beautiful points of format such as FT7 compared to, for example, double elimination tournaments, where you usually only have FT3 until you're just out of the game. If it was so, Emu would have actually won this set already. Oh, it's reaching for that 2K. Lots of low profile frames as well. So able to beat the... I missed what button Emu was pressing there. But it does beat a lot of high profile buttons for sure, very comfortably. Plus frames out of the clone, and then the stagger 2K, we got the wall skip, and then just bunky mess side, and here we go. This is the whatchamacallit, win condition trademark. Yes, so tricky to get out of. Basically, you have to have 50 tension or your burst ready, unless you are a DP character. And Axel, you're definitely not one of those. So it's like your go-to, ooh, nice 6P. Your go-to options for making that positive bonus loop stop is usually you're gonna use Deflect Shield Burst or YRC. And if you don't, you're just locked there and Chip is kinda gonna get the victory for free, in a way. Ooh, the vacuuming low follow-up of the Rensen. Are we gonna go for it again? No, this time we go for the Winter Cherry, the exploding follow-up. And Koi, just like that, was down 2 games at the start. Has been able to flip it around completely and now in the lead as we are heading to the mid-game matches of this FT7. Try to 5p with punish on that 5 heavy round start. Here comes the instant air dash, immediate burst from Koi. Doesn't want to get contained in the corner. It would be quite unfortunate if Chip gets that victory condition trademark going on from basically the first interaction. Putting himself in the corner, Imu enabling the tightrope. So adding layers to the potential mental stack of the neutral when that thing is active. Of course, we could potentially just play the standard neutral, dash at the opponent, maybe do jumps. With the tightrope, there are certainly a couple of extra angles that you can approach from. Very defensive round start from Koi, getting caught by the aggressive dash. Converted into a series. Oh, nice block on the Kara overhead. Getting punished as a result. Able to almost equalize the situation, but okay, another low Kara Repka here. Trying to strike from very far away. And that angle, when you don't have a 2S anti-air, when the opponent is not approaching from straight above, I think Axel has a slightly more problems anti-airing on reaction. You of course have your 6K and a couple of other buttons that are nice, perfectly spaced there. Lands straight into the throw. Another one. We're grappling today. And now FD trying to push Koi away as much as possible. Steals the corner and drills down with that jump 2K. A big opportunity. That is one of the nastiest situations, and I think in that situation, when you don't have anywhere to run to, perhaps if you get crossed up before the jump 2K, you can't even use your dash macro to run out of there, because you would run yourself face into the corner in that kind of a spacing. This time waiting for the tornado, tries to tap a 5D. Very cute. Reversal DP out of that situation. We still have 50 meters to defend with for Koi. It will go into YRC plus frames, tries with the 2K and reset situation. Evil having none of that, just ready to press buttons immediately. Ooh, drifting into that 2K. However, Evil did recognize that. Would this be a kill? It's gonna be super close. No, not even with the wall break damage. Around 50 damage. Ring on Axel. Axel, I think does have some guts, but not very much, if I recall correctly. Double jump over into a perfect punish. That 2S there was the cherry on the cake. Whiffing that, there, of course, after that double jump over the tornado, there was an option to pick your anti-air. But the thing is, you have to judge the angle and the spacing really fast and choose which one you're gonna use. Sometimes the 2S, even though it is the most flexible anti-air from Axel, it's still, sometimes the angle is not correct, especially if the opponent already has crossed you or is like in the process of crossing you up. Sometimes you might have to go for stuff like air throws or air to airs. Ooh, wait, is the clone still there? No, but the second hit of the Rensengeki, or the Super Rensengeki landing on hit. Got the backdash once again. Oh my god, this is so tricky. Of course, all of these conversions are not the biggest hits, but if you don't get out of the little neat little vortex, it is tricky because you can only take so many of those on your way towards the corner. And if the opponent has 50 meter, every one of those little hits will turn into a massive, massive advantage. Still in the corner again, gets the hit initially, drops the combo, but then gets it again. These Titron combos have so much corner carry. Basically, no matter where on the screen you are, the ending result should be that the opponent is gonna be in the corner at the end of the combo. There we go, this time the 2S was the right anti-air of choice. And now looking potentially for one more hit. Nice tap on the 5D as an anti-air. Gonna lead into a basically full conversion. Unable to get the hard knockdown due to the lack of tension again, but the tension is gonna be piling up. That was, I think, the best option that KaraKoi could have been able to pick. Immediately get out of that loop. Try to put Emo in a situation where they don't have agency to play, but alas, they found a way out, and from that point on, both players had very little health. It's gonna be hard to get out of that pressure. Checking with a 2k from round start. This is, of course, probably primarily against the dash round start options that Emu has been playing. And of course, you don't want to swing with something that has a lot of punishable recovery, so you would probably swing with things like 5k or 2k. That is a big combo. There was an RC though, so again, no heart knockdown. Koi does have a lot of meter, almost 100 in the tank. However, wanted to use it so bad, but Emu knew that with that 100 meter, there is bound to be a burst. Now back to the drawing board. Able to attack Emu actually before the tightrope goes online. Stay near the tornado in case Chip starts to... Oh, wait, that was an interesting hit. The backwards hitting hitbox of the low Rensen follow-up. Close slash from relatively far away. Big damage inbound, and OPG 2K is enough in this case. That was very interesting. I think a very Guilty Gear kind of exchange where Emu was shoving himself into the hitbox. It's such a classic, like, get fucked kind of move, the low follow-up of Rensen. A little bit of a left-right mix-up here into command grab. Are you ready to react to that? Basically a reaction check. Depending on your screen position, the command grab will reach you at slightly different intervals. Fully charges the tornado, however that gives Emu opportunity to escape, but not for free. Emu is almost completely out of life here. Finds a hit. Would like to get to that 50 meter as soon as possible and able to tightrope perfect angle, completely avoiding the anti-air 2S. It feels like Emu knows a thing or two about this matchup. 100 meter. Didn't get the Kara super out, unfortunately, and now trades into the 2K. That was a great choice from Koi. Basically the fastest button that you could have used there. I think that's also like a situation where you have to queue up the button before the blue RC drift comes out, because if you try to do it post BRC flash, it is gonna be too late, especially if your frames are slowed already. So really great RPS there for Koi. Getting fully charged tornado, resulting in plus frames, I believe. Taps the 5D. Deems that this might be close enough to the kill. No, not quite. So gonna go into the next screen. Only with positive bonus, and not actually ready to use any meter. But however, no problem, because the opponent has taken so much damage already. We don't even need to have meter to play this neutral here with his Axel character. The 2K from very far away, wasn't able to completely follow it up. Frame drop into 5 heavy, however, I think Koi was already committed to that charging to that tornado. And again, plus frames. Ooh, very fast overhead, and that's actually a kill. That's so nasty. Of course, due to how that jump heavy works, you can create some really fast hitting overhead setups on this character, which is quite, I would say, quite abnormal for Strive characters. I guess the downside is that it's not the easiest to hit confirm, and it's not leading into like the most massive of damages. But hey, it kind of all balances out in the end. Got the backdash, and had the choose as well. Now Emu is in a very nice position here. That so highly coveted heart knockdown. Both players spending their YRCs, deflect shield. Neither wants to take any pressure in this situation. But now Koi has been able to weather the storm. The positive bonus loop is over, and they have a little bit more health in the tank, trying to jump. Oh my god, what was that trade? I'm not even sure what button Koi pressed in the air, but ended up trading with something from Chip. Now their patience, there we go. Finally able to completely challenge the instant air dash at round start. It kinda asks you to stop doing everything else and just concentrate on the anti-air. So technically, if you're waiting for that, you're open to other kind of approaches, usually. And here's the approach from Emu. Positive bonus loop once again, trying to get a backdash, but that's naughty, for glow slashes are so damn powerful in Guilty Gear Strive. 6 frames of actives. It is so hard to backdash out of those unless you are a big body character. Unless you have that big body 6 frame invulnerability backdash. No character can backdash a standard close slash usually. That is like one of the reasons why close slash is such a, you know, such a universal, uncontested, perfect pressure button in Strive. It just does everything. Usually plus frames, lots of active frames, lots of reach, good coverage both horizontally and vertically. It's like, mwah. It's such a nutty button if you think about it. Like how many other fighting games? Ooh, I thought we were gonna bait here. Do we have a kill? We're definitely gonna, ooh, vacuums out of the corner into a mix-up. I guess, yeah, you would have to take the opponent out of the corner if you want to do those left-rights, right? And because Koi was basically on a last touch situation, it did not matter too much that the opponent got taken out of the corner. Now Imu trying to even the situation. This is 6-6, I believe, after all. Look at that damage. That is definitely an equalizer. The deed is not done yet. We need two rounds here for Imu. Job is almost half done here. 110 positive bonus. Won't be able to get a reversal out there. I think when you're drifting into that already active 2K, your only option is to reversal, DP or super. And able to take the round, basically going down to the wire. As they say in the industry, double Luigi. The winner of this round walks away victorious. Imu does have a small advantage here. Almost full tension, sorry, almost full burst bar. So that Wild Assault is available, or the blue burst if, you know, Imu wants to rely on that instead. Got with the low, however, downside of that low Rekka is that unless it counter hits, there's really no follow-up whatsoever. It's even minus on hit. So now Koi on the pack pedal, using the wire seed to get out of it, using the burst as well in order to try to make something happen. However, now Emo is out, and Emo has so many resources. First, use the RC, cut the backdash. Ooh, but drop the combo. That's a chance. The blue burst comes out, and now Emo is basically on the same footing as Koi. Minus there on the low Rekka. However, even if it's minus, this character shits spacing traps out of every single corner. It's really hard to challenge even on those Rekka minus frames for if you swing the wrong button, you might get whiff punished. I guess Axel in that sense is a little more strange. I guess it's still the same RPS, but in a little bit of a different way. You have buttons that can reach the chip when is much further away, but then again, the sort of the the mid-range positions are a little bit harder to deal with for Axel due to the lack of good buttons. Okay, but that's quite the nail biter for the first matchup of the evening. Now we are gonna get our random select matchup next. A run back between Kitty and Icarus. Previously, if memory serves correctly, it ended up just barely in Kitty's favor in what culminated into a last second Potemkin mirror at the end. Very interesting match that was. But yeah, let's get things started. So let's get to the rolling screen. Bring out our wheels. I believe the rules for this bout is no duplicate characters and no mains. So for Icarus, that would mean no Nagoriyuki, if that character is to be chosen, and for Kitty, that would be Johnny. Okay, I guess we are ready. So let's start randoming. So Icarus is gonna get L-fold for the first character. Let me remember to remove those as well. And then Kitty is gonna start with... If it's Johnny, it's gonna get disqualified. No, it's gonna be Kai. So Icarus' Alpha, let's see around where it is. It is on the bottom side of the power tiers, and Kai would be the footsie man, the king himself. He's also around in the middle-ish. And also those who have not seen a random select match on Bounty Hunters before. We are using a little bit of a cool tool here where we usually ask the players who are heading into the random match to sort of self-evaluate how well do you feel like you pilot your characters. So on the left we have Icarus's characters, on the right we have Kitty's characters. Of course, the higher on the list we random into, that's better. And the meta of the random select match is usually try to have as few characters at the bottom of the tier list, those characters that you usually feel like, oh, I've never really played much before and I'm probably gonna lose with. Try to have as few of those as possible. Usually you don't necessarily have to have a shit ton of characters at the very top, because it's, of course, the RNG is gonna even it out and you're gonna end up overall sort of randoming into what's in the middle. So if you have a lot of characters in the middle or the middle high end of the scale, it usually bodes pretty well for you. Now, surprisingly, I mean, I guess if you have a lot of characters at the bottom of the scale, then a format where the character you random into gets removed from your pool, aka no duplicates, as the girls are playing here with, is gonna favor you a little bit more. So this format that they're playing at the moment, maybe you could argue, perhaps favors Kitty a little bit, because Kitty has a couple more weaker characters on the power charts, or I guess a couple more. Because if you never remove those characters from the pool, they of course remain there and you can random into those over and over again, resulting in potentially like high variance sets where you're getting nothing but your weaker characters. But if those weaker characters upon being picked get removed from the pool, there's higher chance that you're gonna random into, or okay, math. There is a lower chance that you're gonna get a bad luck streak, I guess, if you want to think about it like that. But if you don't want to think too much, then it's just, you know, herp derp RNG. I mean, RNG is a little bit of a name of the game here, for sure. As every one of your character picks is gonna be random. Now, I think we are ready to head into the first match. So Kitty is on the left, Icarus on the right. And I think this was relatively even-ish in terms of power tiers. So definitely a match that where a lot of things could happen. Now, if you swing, like if you know the Alpha matchup, I guess like layer 1 is Alpha is probably wants to get in as fast as possible, try to get that chain lollipop rolling, try to maybe get neutral skips with the Pineberry. If you know sort of the basics of the Alpha matchup and you are a DP character, you of course would know that it's probably, oh my god, it's just walking, missing a throw, no matter, opponent is in the air, they're still in a really bad situation. That was just walking forward, menacing JoJo walk. But you can also afford to. Here's a bait, started with a close slash, very important. The least prorated move in the game. In fact, I think close slash is the only universal move that has no proration whatsoever. So generally, you want to start your moves or combos with that. Won't be able to get a ricochet here, and because of the hit stop here, Kitty was able to see what's coming. The heavy fireball starter. The Bridal Express gets caught by the elbow of the king, and rest is history as Kitty pressures in the corner. Started with a Shade Lollipop conversion. Ooh, I like that. Kind of missing the combo there to make sure that we are still going into the high-low Rekka in the oak, even like maybe because the wall would have broken right there. Ooh, I think the super... Is this gonna nullify this? Yeah, it is gonna nullify the projectile, but it is not gonna do too much for Icarus. Spend the meter, get into pressure situation, tackle them out of there, finds the hit, and because for a little, one too many of those S-Rekkas, depending on how hard your starter is, you could have a couple of those. And the Rekka, ooh, nice jump, however, no punish on the way down. Trying to use the resources to make sure that Icarus doesn't get the play. 6P works out against the Bridal Express once again. However, Icarus has been able to accumulate enough meter for a YRC of her own. So first one is gonna go for Icarus on that L-Fault. Let me change the lobby rules. So we're coming out of the room automatically between every match. Let's do winner stays. And then go back to random here. It's gonna be Asuka, a very technical character for Icarus on the next one. And Kitty is gonna get... also a very technical character, Happy Chaos. Alright, this is an interesting one. I'm actually pretty happy that these occurred at the same time. Let's see. So for Icarus, Asuka is probably... I would wager at the... Actually, it's in the basics tier. And Happy Chaos, ooh, for Kitty, that's quite low. So that would mean that this is gonna be Icarus' advantage going into this one again. Actually surprised that Icarus has an Asuka even at this level, because like this is basically the hardest to pilot character in the game. Period. Even having a character like this even at a basics level is a very respectable thing to have for sure. But that doesn't mean that it's gonna be easy. Staying at the far end of the screen, sending a couple of projectiles at Kitty. Now this is pretty tough because if you don't know who takes out the... Oh, however, even if you take out the gun, even if you get to take out the gun, this does certainly not mean that the reticle will always find its mark on the opponent. Generally, you want to have the opponent in block stun to guarantee that the reticle will actually home in on them. Otherwise, it's 1 out of 3 chance. The 2P2P, basically the respect that you would have 2P2P conversion into taking out gun and a full screen conversion for Icarus. We got a throw here. And gotta remember that, you know, this Happy Chaos is basically at a 0 skill level for Kitty. So we're probably just working with like standard neutral. Yeah, we're just gonna... And I started blasting, utilizing gun more as a, you know, just please give me some amount of damage kind of a tool. Alright, able to get full bullets. Although it's slightly questionable even if you have your full resources, can we actually utilize those? Because like basically both the bullets and the concentration makes no difference unless you are doing those, you know, gun strings. And so far, the gun hasn't played too much of a role. However, able to find a lock-on and just blasts every shot as fast as possible to get some amount of damage, which will be actually enough here. A weird hand here for Icarus. Only one attack spell still in hand. It's of course sort of a definitely sort of a finger DDR kind of a character. You have so many different buttons to press and so many buttons to sequence into one another. So like if you wanna, when you get a hit, it's one thing to get a combo, but then it's a completely different kind of thing to consistently always recharge your resources and, you know, maybe recharge mana, draw new cards, discard cards that you don't want, stuff like that. It's tough, but Icarus does get the win here in a favorable role in game number 2. Now heading forward, what does Lady Luck say? Is it Giovanna? It is Giovanna for Icarus, and for Kitty, we're gonna be working with Testament? Question mark? Yes, indeed. So Giovanna is slightly above average for Icarus, and Testament, let's see, ooh, at the bottom. So far, I think 3 times in a row, Kitty has random in this, you know, relatively lower power level character than Icarus so far. But I mean, it's, you know, it is RNG, and as it is with RNG, on a long term, chance tends to mellow out and average out, so perhaps this is just to get the bad draws out of the way and then get into the actual good picks. Although that also goes without saying that, you know, Maria or Icarus has slightly higher amount of characters in the upper echelon of the power tier, so there's a slightly higher chance for Icarus to run them into those really good characters. Ooh, the crow actually doesn't find its mark. Is Giovanna much lower profile while crouching than many other characters? Nice conversion out of that reversal, by the way. Spends 100 into it and gets the kill. Started with a 6 speed. That's definitely a good button to press. When in doubt, you could potentially press it, although Testament does have a repertoire of other really good buttons as well, such as their K buttons, especially the DLC 2K, as we call it in the industry. Ooh, I think you can block here, unless you queued up another move already. Yep. Go with the close slash. Doesn't quite go into too heavy. I forgot how the new combo routing works for Testament, because close slash nowadays pops the opponent up in the air slightly, so you might actually get like too heavy there in certain kind of situations. Ooh, however, the spiral arrow drills. Oh, nice! Plays with the OTG, not quite enough. And the reversal once again here for Icarus. Oh, and a little too far. That was a good idea. However, you would much rather have that hit the opponent so you can guarantee that they are in block stun as a result. But pretty well played there for Kitty. And I want to say, even though the Testament wasn't too high up for Kitty, Testament is a rather simple character in their core to play. So Melia is going to be the next one for Icarus. And Kitty will work with. Once again, reminder, we are of course removing the characters from the pool as they get picked. This is no duplicates kind of rules. So no character will appear twice within a set. That means generally towards the end of the set, you're gonna have way fewer characters in the pool. So a little bit of math. If we go down to the wire, that means the players are gonna go through how many characters? 12, 13. And Guilty Gear Strive is a 30 character game at the moment, 29 technically, because the players have agreed to not play their main characters. But yeah, there's gonna be like roughly half the cast only left at the end if it goes really down to the wire. Now, Kitty's turn on the Elfelt. So time to high-low. Good blocks to highs. But of course, if you have 50 meter ready to go, you can keep pressing your advantage even after the chain lollipop sequence. Yeah, that is gonna be punished at that range. However, misses the close slash melee timing, so Icarus is gonna have a chance here. And Milia, of course, one of those better anti-close slash characters, just bulldozing through. On the defensive department, Elfelt, not the best one. You do have a reversal out of your defense, but that requires you to have 50 meter. So no free DPs or anything. Just swing with too heavy, chasing that hair car. However, again, interrupts between the chain lollipop sequence. That's a very brave thing to do. Back into it, lots of corner carry, and that new heavy. Oh, I think this is gonna hit. The close slash is still active. Big damage. And even though the far slash does not hit cleanly, it is gonna be enough to get the game for Icarus. It's actually pretty cool. I was sort of worried, like, how is this actually gonna pan out this distance for picking up the combo for Milia there. Right, luck of the draw. Testament is the choice this time for Icarus. Kitty will get Leo. So Leo is for Kitty in the basics tier, and Testament, let us refresh our memory. Slightly slower or lower placing there. However, in the previous one, when they had the role switched, Kitty also had Testament fairly low there. To which I said, you know, Testament, in their core is, you know, just pressing a couple of good buttons, throwing fireballs, and, you know, if the opponent doesn't know how to deal with the fireball game or the zoning game, you could potentially get a lot of value out of this character by just knowing the basic commands. Generally, like, the sort of game sense to play neutral is rather universal if you know your character archetype, or if you've played a similar character in the past. And, you know, Testament is a very fireball heavy kind of character until you get into the pressure situation. Even in pressure, there's still a lot about just looping the stain, which always has to revolve around two fireballs. First, the Crave Reaper, and then the Crow. Ooh, nice. However, the combo ends there at the end, so not quite sure what the go-to combo would be, and I guess it would also be slightly different than for many other characters. Universally, the combo that you're gonna go for. Notices the mistake there, missing a throw, going for a PRC. Ooh, challenging with the far slash afterwards, and having a really far-reaching button there after a blocked turbulence is actually probably pretty good in this patch. For it doesn't matter what kind of distance it is, you are not gonna punish Leo, so it is basically RPS kind of a situation. And if you have a button that can challenge back turn S, for instance, that's pretty good. No cancel out of that far slash. And Icarus is gonna have the bravery to dash in and throw. 4th point for Icarus. Looking like the script is gonna be definitely much different from the last time. So Icarus is gonna head into the next one with Sol. Basic stuff. See where that is. That is slightly above basics, so that should be a pretty good pick for Icarus. And Kitty is gonna get an Axel. Where is that? That is also above average, so the power levels should be relatively matched here. And it is gonna be classic, you know, the character who wants to get in desperately to punch the opponent in the face, and then the character who wants to be as far away from the striker as possible. Axel Saul. I'm not quite sure on like a very basic level, who is this easier to play for? Because, like, of course, Axel is once again against about those like sort of fundamental choices, fundamental decisions. Lots of basics, whereas Sol is probably gonna need slightly more than that. But on the other hand, if you know how Sol's basic conversions work, and you know how the sort of Sol's pressure tends to flow, should be pretty good for you as soon as you get to the close range pressure situation, such as this. Choose to cash out. Not the highest hitting combo, but you definitely could afford that, because Icarus did have full tank ready to go 100 meter, so might as well dish that 50 meter into some amount of extra damage if you can. Because, like, I mean, what are you gonna do with 100 meter in the tank? HMC? From the snail miner frames, tries to take a little bit of distance, dash blocking forward, very standard, and into a far slash. The hesitation from Thunder Kitty, completely abused by Icarus' soul, but the backdash into 2K works out defensively. But we would like to get some real estate here. We are zoners after all. We absolutely need that, and the back throw is gonna get maximum amount of real estate. No anti-air though. Jump in, bears fruit, and another one, do it again! And then that's so good! Knew that the burst would have to come out sooner rather than later, and another great instant air dash reaction there. Basically a fireball character, Axel low, lots of jumps. If the anti-airs are not there, they're toast. It is definitely no shame to test the anti-air capabilities of the zoner. Because if you can't, then yeah, there's no reason for me to play neutral. So Icarus gets into Nagoriyuki. However, this is an illegal pick, so we're gonna roll again. This is Icarus's main after all, so we'll just remove that and go into the next one. That is the rules between the players. Bedman for Icarus, and for Kitty, of course, the same rule goes for Kitty as well. If it was to random into Johnny, it is gonna be nullified with a pick. Kitty is gonna be the Milia player this time around. And this is a very strange matchup. Milia and Bedman, two characters that you don't really see very often. Let's see, where is Bedman for Icarus? Very bottom of the list, right? On the left. And for Kitty, Milia is rather high. So this should be rather even. This absolutely must be where Kitty starts taking points. This is theoretically a good matchup for Kitty per the self-evaluation power tiers. But not only that, if Kitty loses this, then where's the value gonna come from? What kind of nasty discrepancy between the characters we're gonna have to be able to pull out a victory? Icarus on a very strange character. I mean, if you're not used to working with the Magneto, Marvel vs. Captain kind of characters where you have a eight-way dash in the air, it's very strange kind of character to control. Whereas Milia, even if you don't really usually play speedster characters, with some fundamentals and good timings, you should be able to get a basic game plan together. And because Bedman loves spending time in the air so much, and because Milia has one of the best anti-air close slashes in the game. I hold that up, we get a big malfunction counter hit. Had that error rolling there, so was comfortable just backing off, doing a little bit of shimmy there. Even if the opponent presses a button, that Deja Vu is probably still gonna release there and catch them. Actually, do Deja Vus get deleted if the opponent makes you block something, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I know how Bedman works. Never seen this character before. Right to the other side, nice block from Icarus. However, you can only block so much. Here comes the TK Bad Moon, one of the fastest instant overheads in the game. No shame getting mixed up by that, but ooh, that's gonna be a punish unless you spend RC, as Icarus does. Had to happen there. Dash forward, 6B into another throw. Set it up. Meaty disc. Once again, dashing into the 6-speed, although if your opponent does not hit anything, your prospects for playing the neutral afterwards, I guess you kind of are forced into canceling into stuff. And you don't really have a lot of good Gatling options out of that 6-speed, so in that sense, it is a little bit of a commitment. And Icarus could probably react to that by poking more with low pokes, such as like 2S or 2K. Right, Kitty gets the round. And now, time to show what's what. This could be a very, very fast end to the set. Ooh, walk straight into the malfunction, fully charged. The bomb head goes the wrong way. Unfortunately for Icarus, I guess frame trap into a disc mix-up. Was probably looking for a burst, still looking for a burst, but Icarus probably spotted out. And it's like, all right, Kitty is going very hard mode for that burst bait. I'll just keep holding on to it for now. You could, of course, use it for Wild Assault as well, if you feel like the burst is not worth your time. However, the burst was definitely worth there, but missed the meaty afterwards. Both players trying to fight for some sort of position. Back throw into malfunction, misses the meaty. Tragedy strikes both players over and over again. And from that brawling situation, Kitty does emerge victorious. For the longevity of the set, it is, I guess, if you want this set to go on, probably a good thing, right? But also, gosh, Kitty really needed that. Absolutely needed that. All right, Slayer for Icarus on the next one. Which is, if I recall correctly, yeah, is in that interesting tier on the left. And Mei is the choice of character for Kitty. Where is Mei? Mei is at the very bottom of the list. Oh no. The luck of the draw hasn't been favoring Kitty this time around for sure. Lots of characters in the bottom two categories this time around. So now it's a little bit of a do or die. Or I mean, I guess you have like one more game of a buffer before it's absolute go time, absolute GOAT time, in fact. But yeah, considering that Maria has Slayer in that kind of like that funny top tier, even though, you know, this is not Icarus's strong character by any stretch of imagination, I imagine. But sort of the comedy there is that this character is rather simple to play, rather easy to derive value out of if you know a couple of combos. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, especially since Kitty misses the combo into Pile Bunker, but did have the 50 meter to take advantage of that. Tried to go for the throw. Kitty mashing this time around. Nice spacing. Far slash gets a hit. However, converting those hits, especially from S buttons, is a little bit of a problem for Mei. Not only do you have to first charge for the Dolphin hit, usually the conversion is going to be Dolphin, and then you would have to have 50 tension as well from those stray hits. Unless you get some sort of like really good hit like 5 heavy or... reversal here. Let's see the punish. Oh, it actually scores a hit. I wonder if Icarus already had queued up something during the sort of startup of the Flash. But there is also a lot of counterplay against the Dolphin, and you kind of have to know the timing of when the Dolphin is, or rather the whale is gonna manifest on the screen, or if your character can't do something about it. Ooh, tough situation here. One more RC. Dash into. 2P mash gets out of there, but lots of spaghetti from both players. Breaks the throw. Oh my god, that's perfect! The counterplay, the universal counterplay coming through, throwing Icarus out of the Master Hammer, but unfortunately, that won't be enough if you don't have the rest of the kit under control. Getting those universal responses, unfortunately, ain't gonna be enough. And this could be nearing Kitty's last dance here. Next randoms are gonna be absolutely crucial. Ino is gonna be the pick for Icarus. And Kitty. We need a good random here. Oh, is it gonna be? Oh no. Oh, oh, that's at the bottom of the tier list. Oh no. Asuka. Not only is this a hard to pilot character, but it is also allegedly not very well piloted by Kitty. But that is how it sometimes will go in the random character challenge. Even if you're playing without duplicates, you might get locked out in this weird kind of situation where the luck of the draw just doesn't favor you very much. Although, gotta say that Icarus played a lot of those quotations even-ish power matchups pretty well. Like having success in 2 or 3 of those is what basically was able to get her into this point. But now, I think, outside of all the power speculation, if we just look at these characters, if I recall correctly, this is a kind of a tough matchup for Ino. Because, you know, you're locked into certain kind of trajectories, and Asuka has a lot of stuff that can block those trajectories. But if you do get the wizard into the mix-up situation, it is also very, very hard for Asuka to defend against even the basic Ino mix-ups. And now, this could be the last one. Thunder Kitty, on perhaps her last legs, has a lot of basic cubes, has a lot of blues. Can we throw those? Throwing a couple ones into a take throw. Now, do we get the recharge? Yeah, we get one more spell back. Trying to use that 2D, which is also a projectile. However, the Scarlet Witch, the 6-6, the forward dash of Ino's will take you forward, will take you off the ground, making the 2D basically do absolutely nothing into a command. Ooh, no, that's not a command grab. That was a reversal super. Icarus picking up maybe the wrong super, but it ends up working out. Mana Shield goes pop. Is it gonna be over? The forward dash countered with a backwards jump and then a backwards throw into the corner. What can we do with this? Close slash predicts the burst. Thunder Kitty is a player that loves baiting the burst very much, but is it enough? The overhead, the meteor actually catches Icarus. Chip damage could be good. We're out of spells though. However, throws the strike the victory. Maybe on reaction, or maybe Kitty was just completely locked on and dead set on getting the throw. Dashing forward, able to get the throw and stroke. We're still alive somehow. But now, the hand is empty completely. Started blasting at the very round start. The only spell that Kitty is holding is Utility. Casts it. Close slash, alright. What can we do with that? We can do close slash into wall stick. Oh, this is actually looking pretty good. Draws a DP spell. Maybe that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Oh, won't be able to get the throw here. Combo into nothing. Yeah, that's a command grab super. I think previously Icarus did combo into that. Something that I didn't even think was possible. Wait, what is that? Looked like a really awkward shimmy there. Mana Shield goes pop, so now Kitty is restricted into using normals only or universal mechanics only. We got the Mana Shield back. And we're somehow still alive. Kitty, with the bad luck of the draw, Asuka able to basically, without casting any spells. Look, Kitty technically did not draw any spells in any of those rounds. It was just, all right, I start the round with 4 spells, I cast them, and then fuck it. We're just playing with the base wizard, buddy. And it ended up working out. All right, one more chance. Icarus is gonna be drawing Kitty's main, so it is a valid pick here. Let's see, Johnny for Icarus is rather low, so this is working definitely in favor of Kitty. And Kitty is gonna go in with Slayer. Where is that Slayer? Relatively high, right? Yeah, relatively high. I think many of us when Slayer released, we tried him. We were like, oh, all right, so if I have a little bit of combo execution, this is actually gonna work out really well. It is actually a very intoxicating kind of character to play, Slayer, because you get so much value out of simply knowing a couple of execution things and then just working with the sort of, if I may say, casino kind of game plan. I think Slayer players are not gonna be upset if they, you know, no matter what Guilty Gear version it is, if your character gets called a little bit of a RPS forcing kind of a character, and has maintained his identity also in Guilty Gear Strive. Strangely well, in fact. I think it's like one of the best characters for maintaining their past identity. Even though the kit changed quite a bit, it is so much like a Slayer of the past, just in a slightly different way. Right, but Icarus, without a meter in the tank, could see defensive measures, could see RCs, but we're not gonna see any of that. Perhaps because this is one of the lower power characters for Icarus, so, you know, if you don't have the muscle memory, it's gonna be hard to do stuff. Able to jump in though, those are basics, fundamentals. However, miss on the meaty, close slash rings into emptiness. Now Kitty has a wall break here. A little bit of extra tension building up. Is that ooh, had stored the low follow-up of, or the low version of the Mistfinder. Kitty missing the execution here. Yeah, like we said, unless you do the baby versions of the combos, like the more optimized combos are gonna be slightly more difficult, because you're gonna have to do those pile bunker loops that switch your position around with the opponent. They require a little bit of execution, let's put it like that. Not the, oh, and footsies mannen lek inte. Using the 2 heavy from almost full distance, poking through Icarus's, I think that was 2S there. Exactly the function of the move that is Slayer's 2 heavy. All right, still alive, and suddenly, slowly, not suddenly, but slowly, very slowly, it's starting to look a little bit more hopeful for Kitty, perhaps. Maybe will be the next one for Icarus. Sorry, I was in the wrong view, but believe me when I say that it was May. And for Kitty is gonna be Giovanna. Now, where upon are those characters located? All right, so it's completely opposite. So Kitty started with a lot of bad draws. Now, as we're heading towards the end game, it's actually Icarus who started drawing those bad picks. Gio, very high up in Thunder Kitty's list. May, really low on Icarus's list. This should be doable. This... I love it. It evens out. It's exactly what we were talking about. It evens out in the end, the variance. But of course, it ain't gonna be free. You're still gonna have to perform on this character. And I mean, Mei is the kind of character who hits really hard, so you could have a little bit of a Potemkin factor here and just hit the opponent with a couple of heavy-hitting anchor normals, such as like 5 damage. Ooh, again, Kitty's trademark. Go fast into a burst bait. Pays dividends. As long as the opponent is not patient with those burst baits. Kitty definitely on point, taking those bursts. Okay, staying patient. Again, the 6P. The 6P has also been one of the go-to save me kind of buttons for Kitty. Has played the neutral a lot with that. And why should you not? It is Guilty Gear Strive after all. Usually it's not your layer 1 button for just about any character, but it can work, especially if you know that your opponent is going to be poking with those high-profile pokes. For Mei, that would be Far Slash. I guess to a certain degree, Dolphins as well. Not your time to press buttons. Drops the combo, but still with the pressure in the corner. Minus after the up dog, and 6 heavy will be enough to keep Kitty again alive. It was looking very, very dire, but then stroke of luck from above, or perhaps the equalizing, whatchamacallit? What's it called? Variance. Ooh, finally the Sin. So Icarus is gonna have Sin for this one, which, if I recall correctly, is pretty high on Icarus's list. So Thunder Kitty will once more or twice more gonna have to get something really good. Alas, it is gonna be one of the worst characters for Kitty. Ino at the very end of the list. Never really touched tier. And get this character also is not very simple to play at all. I mean, technically, after acquiring basics for Ino, you can feel like, oh, this character is really powerful. I get so much value out of doing very basic things. But to get to that basic layer is surprisingly decent amount of work. Because this character lacks normal dash options, so you're gonna have to get used to more committed kind of gameplay. Ooh, missing the immediate there. Allowing Kitty to get a back throw. However, instant air dash out of the corner. Dials into the beak hawker. Hog Baker. Forgetting the names of my own moves. Look at the super. Lined up. Lots of damage. Even if you get one of the previous stage, that was not even near close. Clean hits. Still gonna deal quite a lot of damage. And Icarus, Thunder Kitty, missing that wall break here with the reversal super. That's gonna be big. Icarus trying to play a little defensive, waiting for the stamina to pile up. Yep, this is kind of standard Sin-Kiss kind of gameplay. Connects the jump slash too high up in the air though. This is one of the curses of the Kiss family. Oh my Kitty! Goes for it. Just taps jump slash. 6-6 jump slash. Jump 6-6 jump slash. Are you gonna be ready to anti-air me out of this? You can't do that on reaction. You have to commit to it. And Icarus does commit very hard. Gets the Hawk Baker. And then the back throw. This is a great decision. However, the Roman Castle was a little late there, landing as an OTG. Players having probably decent amount of shakes here. Icarus, with the character that is like supposed to be the favorite going into this, gets a shimmy. Runs out of stamina, unfortunately, and no RC conversion. Do we get the punish? Ooh, tried to punish with a throw. That's no bueno. RTL, one more reversal. Do we know the punish? Close slash or throw? Both is okay. Kitty, another miracle recovery. This was absolute shit tier for Kitty. And relatively high tier for Icarus. So this is definitely a, whatchamacallit, a... Goddamn, I'm having aphasia again. What do you call it when you're not supposed to win, but you do win? Upset. That's the word I was looking for. Upset. That was another really great upset for Kitty. And into the last we go. These are the last characters. Happy Chaos is your choice for Icarus. in... Where's that Happy Chaos? That is... Oh, that's weak tier. And Kitty is gonna get Icarus's main, Nagoriyuki, which is... high tier. Oh, Kitty. Kitty started with garbage luck at the start, but it evened out towards the end. Now, to be able to overthrow the previous random character challenge that these players had between one another, which ended up in Kitty's victory, to overthrow that, to change the past,
Duel 1.
Icarus will have to win this match with a little bit of a disadvantage on a character that they are not very powerful with, whereas Kitty is able to pilot basic Nagoriyuki fairly well, and it shows already. Right, we got gold burst, however, not Stranger, not afraid to hit that reversal button. Set point for Kitty. Just like that. Is this how it's gonna end? Who would have put any money on on Kitty when the situation was 2-6? Not very many, right? And here we are. Base the throw with a well-placed 5 heavy. Got the backdash. Slowly, the blood is piling up though, and now Icarus is gonna be working with decently high-hitting combos. Spark Slash. All right, that's pretty APC, but we take it. On a difficult to pilot character like this, we are happy with sequences like that, but we need one more. We could play a standard side throw, or tap 5D into a 2K. Last one. The winner of this round goes home. Can Icarus change the past? Can they bring it back? It's once again gonna be very, very close. But for who? For whom does Lady Luck smile at the very end? Burst has been used. Icarus is almost close to hers. Curse has been applied, but can we actually do something with that? That means the reticle is gonna find its place. Ooh, nice! Reach, or rather reacts to the forward Hukyo and throws it. Waiting. Ooh, great 6P into an RC. If you don't know how your character's standard RC combo works, you can do that as long as you have meter to get at least a little bit of value. The reticle is having difficulties landing where it needs to, and here goes the 5 heavy. Kitty, Fukyo in, trying to bait something. Icarus losing the last bit of their... Oh my god, the deflect shield pushing Maria away just enough, and that's a wall stick. Go for the super, that should be the kill. History repeating itself. Kitty making an impossible looking matchup work out for her. 2-6. 2-6. Kitty had such a rough stroke of luck with the draws at the very start of the set, but it mellowed out towards the mid, and I would say even got Kitty favorite towards the end. And so it goes. Kitty takes it again, 7-6 in a literal last round, last pixel kind of a situation again. Wow. That was a great comeback. You don't really, like, this is such a strange, such a queer format as well that you don't really think about it the same way as like normal competitive situations either. Is like, man, to make that happen, it requires so much nerve, but also a decent amount of luck. It's just like so many things have to go in your favor to be able to pull it off. Damn, what a set again. But we still have a problem where neither player takes the random match decisively. All right, but moving into the next one, Yorokobi and SavesHaven. Now, this was initially supposed to be Yorokobi versus... who was it? Was it Wires? And Saves is one of the players who jumped in on a short notice to replace one of our Easter cancellations. I mean, I knew that it was gonna probably happen because, you know, it's gonna be Easter Sunday, and even though players will try to take that into account, sometimes, you know, family stuff just manifests, and we had a couple of different matchups sort of suffering that fate. But still, we had a lot of players hopping in on a short notice, replacing, and this is the matchup we're gonna be playing. First time for SavesHaven to enter Bounty Hunters. Nice throw there. Oh, was that a counterplay to Clone Fukio Close Slash, which does have 2 frames of gap, which you can throw. Now into the corner we go. Ooh, that's gonna be big. Basically full blood, so that means your defensive modifier is very, very low at the moment as Nagariyuki. Trying to drain blood. The big 6 heavy stop sign, you shall not pass. That's probably one of the few few grounded moves in the game that can actually prevent Pineberry from going online and going airborne. Even maybe catching Pineberry at the apex of its movement. Both players trying to throw. I'm surprised that Yorokobi actually whipped that, because you do have extra throw range on Nagariyuki. Reversal super. Are we swinging? We are swinging into it, so we'll suffer the damage of that reversal super. Into a low, into double up. Yorokobi ready to press the buttons. How we're gonna get out of there? This time not running face straight into the 6 heavy. From the DP round start into burning a lot of blood very early into this round. But also getting a lot of heavy button hits to compensate for that. Basically still 1 or maybe a couple special moves available for Yorokobi before we are in that pop range. Maybe even 3 here, depending on which ones you end up using. The 5 heavy, if that 5 heavy was level 3 blood, that would have actually reached. But that's how it goes. You have to tailor your button presses for the amount of blood you have. And speaking of being cognizant of your blood, not only Nagariyuki player has to do that. Look at the range! The range of the level 3, or sorry, level 4. When you have popped, those moves gain even more range than before. Let me actually flip the room into rematch. Sorry about that, forgot to do that. And Yorokobi shall get his first point as well. Alright, for the rest of the set, we are going to be working with that rematch lobby.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Alright, from the trade, goes for the Pineberry. Yeah, it's... If you don't have counterplay against Elfo and her Pineberry, it's gonna be a really, really tough match for you, because like it definitely takes a little bit of knowledge to know what to do against it. Like we said, it puts Elfo really high up in the air, and if you try to solve it using your grounded anti-airs, it's usually not gonna work out. And here's another knowledge check. How Chain Lollipop, aka the Rekka sequence, works. You usually start with 3 charges, and whenever you use S-Rekka, you go back into the beginning and regain, basically reset the sequence and get to do 2 extra Rekkas afterwards. So you could basically loop your Rekkas forever if your opponent never challenges the S-Rekka. Like this. Yep, S-Rekka into low, S-Rekka into high, S-Rekka into low, and now I think Far Slash was hit, so that's gonna put Yorokobi through the wall. In fact, kill straight up. So very fast round here for SavesHaven.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Ooh, what was that interaction? So the Beyblade being really low profile and advancing keeps on advancing past the grenade that SavesHaven threw there. Yeah, even with the FD, World was able to, in the end, push SavesHaven far enough in order to get a 6P out. Although, like, 6P is a fairly standard option for... Or like one of the standard options, or one of the universal options for if Elfo goes into the Rekka sequence from one of her non-attack level 4 moves, you should be able to 6p as a reversal between the normal and the Rekka. Although if you're already in the Rekka sequence, then it's gonna be a little more complicated. Oh, clone and a very delayed. No, that was actually not a Fukyo. That was a Beyblade follow-up by the clone. That's why there was so much delay between there. That's a very blood-burning sequence. Putting the opponent in the corner on blood level 3. That will make your 5 heavies really, really high reach normals. Going in. Did we commit? It's gonna be a pop. Does SavesHaven notice though? Dash in. Oh, it didn't. Unfortunate. And now, even though that massive disadvantage from the life loss will go online, Yorokobi had still so much life to spend that, yeah, it didn't end up mattering too much. In fact, in that kind of situations, even if you lose like half of your life bar, it's probably worth the trade to get the fresh blood bar back. Ooh, that's a big one, yep. That could have actually been a kill there. 6 heavy again. That move has so much disjoint. That's kind of why Yorokobi has been swinging with it. And I think the other reason is that it might be, I'm gonna have to consult some Nagoriyuki players, but it looks like it might hit high enough at a certain spacing where if Elfo tries to do Pineberry, throw the grenade, it's not gonna work. Utilizing the commitment to the FD. Of course, if your opponent is blocking, which is technically what that FD is doing, you can rush in. Oh, the Yorokobi hit a button. Nope, we're gonna have a bait here. Bar slash. Small punish, but we'll take them. Any knockdown will get you to the primary, the premier striking distance of Nagoriyuki. And the last nail on the coffin, or should we say tooth, on the vein is gonna be Blood-Sucking Universe. Yorokobi picking up a little bit of steam here early into the set. 3-1. What's a blood burn here? No response here against Kamuriyuki. So think about Blade. Oh, again, the 6 heavy. The 6 heavy is such a good button, looks like here. Basically, the ace card of Yorokobi so far. It has not only carried in pressure situations, but also in neutral situations, surprisingly. I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen any Nagoriyuki player use 6 heavy for neutral quite like this. And again, the downside is it's very heavy on recovery, right? So if SavesHaven is paying attention and ready to whiff punish he shall. But I mean, whiff punishing is one of those abilities that, let's put it like this. This is an intermediate match. And whiff punishing is very fundamental kind of activity, very experience requiring kind of activity. That was an interesting hit there by Yorokobi. So like a lot of even like higher level players might be still a little lost with like what it means to even whiff punish, what it means to even play like balanced neutral is. What does that mean? And especially a fighting game such as Strive that has a lot of like options for characters trying to neutral skip or exert your own powerful options without having to pay too much attention to neutral. It kind of brews situations where even like higher level players can be like, how do I whiff punish somebody? Oh, we go into the classic samurai mix. Committing basically, if that hit didn't land and SavesHaven blocks the next one, it was gonna be a pop and could have basically been a TOD for SavesHaven. Going into the big burn combo once again. I mean, there wasn't too many special moves in the end there, so Yorokobi should still be at a pretty decent plot situation, and a super decent tension situation here. YRC is an option. Yep, indeed. Oh, immediate super. Yorokobi is respecting though, I reckon. Yep, bar slash again. Oh, and we're close enough to go into a little bit of a DP conversion to add some extra damage in there. Too bad the wall actually gave out a little too early. But doesn't matter, we still have so much blood available, we have so much momentum, we are Nagoriyuki, we go in hard. And after the initial games, the rounds have been so fast. There we go, there's the challenge. So Kamuriki used to be 0-1 block, but not anymore. If I recall correctly, -2 now. So it's really important that you don't just sit there and let Nagoriyuki do their stuff. Ooh, SavesHaven was a little bit worried there. Maybe they didn't have the faith that they would have gotten into that punish range. Well, either way, the pop is gonna deal super massive damage to Yorokobi. And again, ready to pop once more. Even a Fukyo would pop here, so really great, really great constraint here for Yorokobi to not go into those special moves anymore in that pop situation. Although you could have... I mean, Nagoriyuki is the kind of character that can offer you situations where, like, if I hit this, I win. If I don't hit with this next special move, I'm actually toast. So it depends on your playstyle how much you want to take those risks. Alright, finds the hit, and with the use of the RC, saves. Looking like we have regained a little bit of momentum. But I mean, as far as momentum is concerned, this character Nagoriyuki is all about that snowball, all about that momentum. So even if you get a little bit of that back, maintaining control over a character that basically starts at their most powerful state at the very start of the round is gonna be a little tough. But so far, Saves looking like they're doing very good. Lots of blood available still. Picking up with a 6 speed, we could follow up with Blood Burn, and that's certainly what Saves was thinking. They thought that the Blood Burn would happen, but now we are not even in the far-slash spacing here. And Saves is in there, 5 heavy spacing. Ricochet shot, waiting potentially for... Oh, there we go. Oh, careful. I was worried that we are actually gonna PRC the throw before the damage goes in. But, you know, of course there's always OTG available afterwards too. Started with the blood burns once again, early into the round. Ooh, that was a very brave challenge there for Saves. Could have been very bad. Taking lots of bad traits for sure, and the blood-sucking universe is gonna reset the situation as far as blood goes. DP hits so high up in the air. Speaking of Samurai Mix, chip damage, yes indeed. The Samurai Mix no longer really a thing unless you have opponent at basically a checkmate situation, because because you can't really combo out of the overhead. So even if you hit the overhead, it's gonna just reset the situation and probably gonna force you to pop. So unless the opponent is one hit away from being killed, the Samurai Mix really ain't a thing anymore. And thank God so. 6 heavy again, look at that. 2 6 heavies. Reversal. Once again, I think Yorokobi is baiting it. Very keen sense on those reversal supers throughout this set. And we would have surely gone into the Samurai Mix again, for Saves was basically on their last legs.
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Now Yorokobi again started with the DP. Putting a little pause there in case Saves wanted to burst right away. 6 speed will beat 2 heavy, surprisingly, being a crouching button. Jump in is successful, forcing Yorokobi to burst. However, they're going back to back. Oh, that's a kill, right? Yep, Saves knew. Another 6 heavy would have done absolute atomic bomb kind of damage. Oh, interesting. Using the Pineberry to kind of launch yourself in the air, and then trying to, using RC, get a slightly earlier jump in. Although that kind of feature is already built into the Pineberry. And again, 6 heavy is the button that ends up anti-airing the Pineberry for Yorokobi. I'm just absolutely blown away how that button can be used in such a way. Here's, I think, the first reversal super of the set for Yorokobi, which will be baited, surprisingly. Like, you've used it so little, yet at the very last moment, when it matters the most, the opponent actually has counterplay against it. The low Rekka immediately triggers the bomb belt and puts the slash in there. Nice check there, forward Fukia, always very, very dangerous. 5 heavy on an airborne opponent, that would have been a very strange combo, I reckon, to convert. Far slash, challenge from the minus frames of the shot. Ooh, punch a close slash. Better burst early, because that would do a lot of damage here. Starting with the 2S. Don't combo into 5 heavy, unfortunately. But Yorokobi still, again, the 6 heavy! This time it was not even the Pine Berry, it was a Wild Assault. That 6 heavy was absolute brick wall. I'm so at the same time, perplexed yet intrigued. I've seen a lot of 6 heavy usage from Nagoriyuki on my time playing and watching this game, but I've never seen it used quite like that, just preemptively for neutral. Yorokobi basically said, all right, I think you cannot whiff punish 6 heavy. Therefore, I will use the move that has the highest probability of preventing all of your incoming pokes. So if you just try to ram yourself at me without attempting to whiff punish me, I will win. And it, lo and behold, ends up working like that. After all, we talked about it during the game. Whiff punishing somebody is not the easiest thing in the world either. Not to talk about, like, in the heat of the moment, do you understand that, like, do you have the sort of fundamental understanding that that is what's happening? That is what needs to happen from my side. Like, that is the solution to what the opponent is doing. It's not as clear-cut and simple for sure. Alright, here comes our first Sin player of the evening, or I guess technically second Sin player, because Icarus randomed into a Sin earlier during the random set. But either way, Nekrath, for the first time on Bounty Hunters, on that Sin, I mean overall just for the first time on Bounty Hunters, is gonna go against Mother Kisk, Dizzy. One of the newer DLC characters, in fact, a character that is still, to this day, in the DLC Vortex, has not really received the first adjustment patch. Has received adjustments for sure, sort of like, I guess, nerfs. They did reduce, or they increased the, they increased the amount of interactivity when Dizzy uses her chestnut, the fire projectile, which used to be a very hard to deal loop in the corner, especially because even FD wouldn't push you away. You would have to know exactly the kind of option that beats what Dizzy is doing, which I think entailed standing up at the very right moment.
So instead of reflecting on this,
to make the chestnut like hit in a particular, or was it crouch? I already forgot. Either way, it's been mellowed out, it's been tuned down, and you can just, in the current patch, you can FD, and even though it's not the, you know, get me out of the jail card, it still helps a little bit if the opponent wants to play that RPS. But here we go, Nekrath with Sin, Dizzy, or sorry, Metadona with Dizzy. Let's go. The damage discrepancy, or I guess, yeah, both these characters do deal quite a lot of damage. The problem is that Sin will generally get to that damage a little more consistently, especially on the new Season 3 changes, where if you have 2 stamina, oh boy, every single touch, no matter what reach, is gonna converge generally into a big hard-hitting combo. But this is not one of those cases for Nekrath. Is completely out of stamina. But then, in the follow-up situation, like we always say, you can substitute stamina for, or sorry, tension or burst for stamina for your hits to buy a little bit more time and to stall for future stamina prospects. But the hit, nice. We have the 5k 6 heavy loop there. Knows that you can go into that from a corner elk hunt. Switch sides, get the hit, apply the ice. Wait, is it? Huh? Was it because the wall slump was so? Ooh. Did he see the RTL? Did see, but does not know the punish, I guess. React or knowledge check here. at that close distance, there is basically nothing that Sin can do after the first hit of RTL if the opponent goes for either close slash or a throw. The problems start arising if the RTL connects from relatively far enough away where the opponent is left at like a far slash distance. That's where you kind of have to RPS with the opponent to a certain extent. Alright, but both players, 1 round apiece. Very patient round start here for Metadona. ABC into Little Mike. Oh, the neutral jump shimmy. One of the favorite things that us Finns do on fighting games. Through the wall. And now Nekrath doesn't even have the 50 tension to play with here at neutral. So first game is gonna go in favor of Mother. One favorable thing that I guess Dizzy has in this matchup is she throws a lot of projectiles, she throws a lot of stuff that can be instant air dash, and Sin, not really the best character in the game for jumping in or doing like instant air dash stuff. However, because by definition, a lot of your summons, a lot of your projectiles actually extend your box upwards, that doesn't matter for Sin too much. Like even a jump heavy that's basically unusable as a jump-in button should be able to be used to punish those extended boxes while she's performing the projectiles. Ooh, big 5 heavy close enough, so that puts the opponent on ice. Nekrath deems that it's prudent to go for an early burst here. A 2 stamina conversion into... Ooh, I like that! We have the... There are surprisingly very few Sin players who play the jump forward RPS from a throw in the corner. It's the kind of sequence that I like myself. We have the super, yes indeed, and that should be the kill. Yeah, let's say Rock very early didn't even bother trying to go for anything even close to a clean hit. Generally kind of what you want to do if you already have the, even if you already have the kill, don't need to take the risk. Just go with one of the earlier stages of Tyrant Barrel. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, Tyrant Barrel has certain different, several different kinds of ways that it can hit the opponent. Best of them, of course, being the clean hit, which happens if you're close enough to the opponent, but the opponent is also like very close to landing at basically the last moment before they would hit the ground. Right, guard crush from the 6 heavy, applies wings, immediate burst from Nekrath. We do have the stamina full tank. Unfortunately, didn't cancel into the beat driver fast enough, but now we have the stamina to burn. We're actually gonna burn all. And with the massive damage, gonna go into the next screen. Yeah, that combo should go into, yeah, any super even was actually able to build the 1 stamina during that combo, so where many other players would just go into the super right away, Nekrath was like, I can do a little bit of extra damage just in case. Going under the fish once again with the elk hunt, spending all the juice, putting the opponent in the corner, and now primarily working with the strike throw when you go that low on stamina. The aggressive burst, pressing a close slash on Wake Up. The madness actually pays off. No application on the ice floor. Usually, like after the ice spike. Oh, there we go. I wonder might have been a 2S pickup after the counter hit there. Unsure. Anyway. Oh no, whipping the gold burst. However, not all is lost. For that gold burst recovers extremely fast. Wall break, and then the fully charged 5D to take it. Nekrath making best out of tricky situations. Couple of portions of spaghetti on the floor, but as long as we are in the prime striking position, as long as we can sort of cover for our mistakes and still go for a close slash meaty after whatever happens, we're all okay. Especially since Sin is like one of the stickiest characters with his close slash. It's really hard to get rid of, especially when you have stamina left. Here with one stamina burn. Saving the other one for this pressure. We have the opportunity to go for super. Cancels it into Beak Driver instead, and then has to spend meter to get the wall break. Metadona attempting to come back. Low fish keeping Nekrath steady for a while. Ooh, this is a very precarious position here. That was exactly what I was talking about. When RTL is left at that sort of distance where you're kind of not sure if it hits or not, or even if it hits, it leaves you only at a bar slash position. It's... Yeah, in those kind of situations, I'm not even sure if there will be a safe punish or not. Players jumping back and forth. Ooh, trying to go for a 6K. But Metadona already had a read. Oh, I like that. The dash, the instant air back dash backwards or backwards jumps are some of the like secret sauce kind of counter tools against Sin, who is doing elk hunts. And we've recently seen a lot of players do that kind of stuff. Nice read here. Instant air dash to beat the bar slash. Bar slash is another. Oh, again, the elk hunt is the tool that gets it all started. 6B catches the opponent airborne. He's gonna ground them with plus frames. That was an interesting kind of hoof stomp from a neutral position. I guess whenever you see Sin players doing a neutral hoof like that, they're basically hard reading that there's something low profile gonna happen in the next couple of frames. Although, in terms of Dizzy options, Dizzy doesn't really have a lot of like low profile stuff. Like, what are you actually looking to catch in that sense? 2D? No way. Get back neutral from the Michael sword. Ooh, that was actually a pretty... drifts into the 2K. Still, unless... If that 2K registers on block, it is going to be minus, so if the opponent is not ready to cancel into anything, it is technically your turn afterwards. My situation is kind of dead even here, 2-2, and wow, are you kidding me? Metadona had the right read here. The Beak Driver is technically a fireball function, but somehow ended up anti-airing Dizzy out of there. I mean, we talk about the Kisk family curse, which afflicts both Sin, Dizzy, and Kai to a certain extent as well, where like your jumping buttons are just not very vertical, right? So you can end up getting anti-aired with some really strange options. I guess case in point there, Beak Driver ended up anti-airing Metadona's... What was that even? Was that like jump K? I didn't even know what Dizzy can like jump in with, because her jumping buttons are some of the most shallow ones in the game. Ooh, good check there on the low. That is one of the more niche, like, I guess that's something that you should do. You should definitely, like, with some of your best low profiling moves that have some amount of active frames, you should be fishing for the elks with those. Unless you want to do the neutral jumps or the back jumps that we were talking about. Nice! Actually comboing after the fish. Now with the corner. Frame trap into the ice spike. And... not quite able to get the super out. Yeah, that's great. I was about to say, you definitely don't want to let Nekrath go back to neutral here, because like Sin, full stamina, ready to unleash a combo that would kill you. Once again, the dash into 2K is what ends up going under Beak Driver. Beak Driver is quite the risky move. It's one of those moves that you never want to whip if possible. And because the hitbox and the hurtbox are not the best in the world, you could like feasibly see stuff like dash into those low profile buttons that Metadona has been doing so far. Now Looney Tunes applied. There's really not an easy way, unless you already have momentum on your dash, to approach on a Dizzy. Has the ice floor active. Converting into a big one. OTG blast from the ice. Ooh, that was an interesting hit there. Another anti-air beak driver, but we have full stamina. We can go all the way. Not linking into the super this time around for the next hit. Waiting for the burst. Ah, I see. That's why Nekrath was worried about the burst, but doesn't have to worry about it anymore. For once you stick your opponent onto the wall, there will be no burst whatsoever. But that was also, in a way, a great hold for Metadona. Was able to see that the opponent was baiting the burst very aggressively. So one thing that you can do about that is to just not use the burst. Take it into the next round. Or if your opponent is ready to hard drop combos, just use it on Wild Assault or something on the next offense situation. Again, the jump slash, so shallow hitting button, yet because Dizzy was using a projectile or using basically a fireball function, making her hitbox so hard, so tall to reach. From a base, dropped the combo at the end. That's a heartbreaker. Nekrath with 100 meter though. YRC is where the first one will go. Oh, wait, that was a bait. That was a bait. It looked like the YRC actually registered on hit there. That's actually like one of the biggest gripes that I actually have with the audiovisual representation of Strive. It's really hard to see sometimes if your YRC actually landed on hit or landed on block, because those animations are very similar, and I think the hit stop is also completely identical. So it's like you have to be very, very vigilant, very keen on your eyesight level for checking like whether it actually landed on block or hit. Oh, speaking of landing stuff on block, DP into a small punish, into more pressure, and applying the Ice Floor as well. Ooh, it was a very high instant air dash, basically tailored to baiting a very fast 6P reaction. It ended up working out initially, but now RTL conversion through the wall. These are exactly what Nekrath is gonna need. One of them, oh, yeah, we're blocking. However, Metadona had the 100 meter, so can save themselves and in fact start pushing their offense. As they say, if you are basically on your last hit points and you have 100 meter, why would you not super PRC? It's literally just safe. It is. I don't know what you can do about it from the opponent's side other than just, I guess, block it and yeah, take the pressure afterwards. All right, with the full combo, setting up the fish. Oh, clever left right, and looking for one more hit. Set the low fish. Set the chestnut, and unless Nekrath would commit into a very aggressive elk hunt there, I don't think, I mean, Beak Driver could maybe do as well. But unless you have something like that, it is gonna be hard to go through all of those summons at once. And Metadona has been picking up some steam, starting with the Roundstar Beak Driver. The 2 stamina burn, even on Hoof Stomp, is gonna be +6. Basically universal between all of Sin's special 2 into Gazelle Step sequences now. It's a big hit, yep. Recognizes that would have gone through the wall, goes under with the use of Elk Hunt, and finish the deal with the Tyrant Barrel. Looking good for Nekrath here, trying to bait something, maybe a reversal super, maybe a reversal throw. Nice, chooses the right tool for the job. Chestnut preventing Nekrath from jumping in. Yeah, 2 stamina burn. Has been basically going, ooh, missed the high option there on that mix-up, the late air backdash jump heavy. Using the jump D, I think for the first time, which is one of the more nuanced tools from Dizzy's toolkit, I want to say. Yeah, there we go. Hit into RTL, because Sin, basically all the Kisk family men have RTL, which can break the wall from basically half screen away. And because Sin's combos tend to build a lot of that meter, it's super important that you sort of always flow into the super at the end of your combos. You have a punish, small one, immediate burst, 6P into, still had 1 stamina. but no conversion further. So the reversal super is what's gonna steal it back for metadona. Yeah, back and forth, it's been on a really emphasized position, the sort of the reversal RPS game. Of course, whenever ZoKHiZ is concerned, the DP is a huge countermeasure to the opponent's offense. But now metadona also bringing that reversal super into the mix. Once again, delayed air backdash. Same size mix-up. Nekrath has a lot of meter here. Ooh, nice whiff punish attempt. However, 5 heavy is a little awkward button because, like, it doesn't land all of its hits unless you're close enough to the opponent. Air dash out of the corner. Even over that hoof stomp, needing one more hit. However, trying to use a cross-up method, putting himself in the corner, and YRC then flips the situation, flips the script. Won't be able to backdash out of that 5 heavy that time. I think that was exactly the kind of distance where the 5 heavy would have not applied all of its hits, would have not applied all of the, would have not resulted in this in the freeze that you get if all of those land. But still enough for metadona to finish the round with it. I could trade into the Ice Spike, in fact, getting a very decent combo out of that. Chestnut once again to prevent the opponent from jumping out of the corner. Hoop stomp with a full stamina bar. Ooh, doesn't actually end up spending the stamina. Interesting. With 6p, however, due to the physics of the ice floor, was initially not able to hit confirm properly out of that hit, out of that anti-air. Gets the second one though. Super. Okay. We still have the pressure position here. However, metadona could potentially steal it away. This is basically the full dizzy combo, full screen corner carry. One more. Oh my god! Stay safe against the gold burst and then lands into a perfect 2k punish. Wow, that was a steal and a half. And it's particularly heartbreaking because I think Nekrath actually had the kill there if he just went into the Tyrant Barrel or even RTL, didn't matter which one. That's what kind of we've been talking about, what the like the cherry on the cake has been. If you have the combo finishers on point for Nekrath Sin, it has been working out like the theme song says. But if not, Stomp catches the backdash, however, runs out of steam, runs out of stamina. I think didn't even have the 50 meter ready to go that time. And from the RC, metadona continues pressure, lands into the 2K 2D once again. What is Nekrath gonna do to salvage this situation? Life drawing dangerously low. Metadona goes for a counter YRC, utilizing the +10, goes for a throw, and now we set up, hitting the S buttons on wake up again, and it ends up working out. The trade is successful for Nekrath. And look at that, perfectly placed spacing. We're talking about how bad the Kisk family members are jumping in, but Sin does actually have pretty good horizontality to his air moves. So if you space yourself very far away from the opponent and queue up jump heavy, those are actually pretty okay kind of jump in situations. No whiff punish there on the 5D. Nekrath might be feeling the pressure. The 5 heavy gets there before the big driver. Set up the shit. Oh no! Oh, I mean, for Nekrath's, but it's not gonna be enough. I was about to say, like, in Nekrath's favor, there wasn't gonna be a full combo, but metadona just flows into the next pressure situation so fast. Even after the, I'm not sure if that was even a drop or if that was just such an awkward spacing to combo, but nevertheless, was able to keep up the aggression and finish it up there. Metadona taking it over the newcomer Nekrath on Bounty Hunters. A good attempt definitely for Nekrath. I think the biggest problem was the combo enders, because you lose so much value, especially on a character like ZoKHiZ, who basically always can take the wall after a combo. As long as you have your bonus resources, such as like if you build 50 meter after your combo, or if you have Wild Assault ready to go, Sinkisk is a character that can basically break the wall every single time. But you need to be ready to burn that finishing touch to unleash the super or unleash the Wild Assault or stuff like that. It takes a little bit of presence of mind to, in the heat of the moment, know which resources do I have left? Do I use stamina? Do I use tension? Do I use Wild Assault? How do I get there? All right, next up we have perhaps the highest skill level matchup of the evening. I'm surprised that these players haven't met yet on Bounty Hunters. I was almost certain that I set Strelitzia and Poki against one another at one point, but maybe that match got cancelled. Anyway, here they are again, some of the heaviest hitting characters, or rather some of the heaviest hitting players we have on Bounty Hunters. Of course, Strelitzia on that Asuka, a character that is definitely a crowd favorite to watch. Such a technical character, lots of branching decision-making trees, very hard to keep up, very hard to pilot. And then we have on the other corner, Poki. One of the strongest Anji players that we have available in the region. Now, I think one of the problems for Anji is that your spin is strong against strikes, but less so against projectiles. And Asuka is mostly about the projectiles. So I'm interested to see, I think, wait, was it Poki actually played one successful Asuka matchup recently as well? And blocks that F-Shiki as well. All right. Poki already showing that we have definitely played this matchup before. Oh, that's a bricked hand. Now, Strelitzia is sort of in a situation where they're desperately trying to draw something! Hello! Give me something! DP card! Alright, there's an offensive spell! In fact, deeming that this is so fucked that I actually have to go into this Mulligan Super to get rid of all of these utility spells that just don't do anything for me. Basically, that was a big bullet dodge for Strelitzia. However, here comes Poki, dancing through the Rainbow Cube and starting their pressure. Mana Shield goes pop. Good challenge there on the tap 5D. Still anybody's game. Mana Shield is back, so we can throw spells, but Anji pressure is ongoing at the moment, and that life is running out. Even with the massive defensive modifier that you have on Asuka while the Mana Shield persists, eventually the damage is gonna be too much, and Anji, definitely a damage character. Ooh, favorable trade for Strelitzia here. Cube versus incoming air dash. Again, this basically nothing on the hand of Strelitzia that they could have thrown. Right, but in test case 3 now, remedying the situation a little, 2 arpeggios in hand, and the mid shift covers. Next, we're gonna have a lot of nasty mix-ups coming in. Tap him with a 5D. Overhead is the choice. Ooh, that was so smart! So smart for Poki. Knew that they can poke into the Rainbow Cube that was spaced very far away. Unless that lands straight on you, it's kind of one of the easiest cubes to poke into, because it's like so slow. And the hitbox is not the best either. Interesting trajectory, able to completely avoid the Terra Metron there and dance through. Oh, that's gonna be an anti-air situation. Poki into the corner. Strelitzia baits the burst. Now give me something I can use. All right, Screamer is okay. We have DP card as well. I think Poki was considering it, considering that they kind of ended their pressure sequence there when they could have pushed it. Mulligan Super. This should be a checkmate. Arpeggio is on board as well. Don't even have to use it. The combo was still actually ongoing. Wait, did Strelitzia just use the Mulligan Super within a combo? Just casually browsed the combo ender and just ended the round there? That's that is impressive. Impressive. But yeah, it's definitely a one-shot kind of conundrum for Anji. Once you do get in, You're gonna, oh my god, that was 3 dances in a row. And eventually the far slash did come out. Hard bait here for Anji, or Poki. Wait, did it? Yeah, Strelitzia used the burst right after. Bricked hand, only utility. I mean, teleport is an okay tool if Strelitzia manages to go airborne. However, pop goes the weasel, and now any hit is basically gonna be the kill here. Far slash wasn't able to trigger the close slash there, which Poki would have wanted, and the far slash was apparently too slow. Good backdash into, yeah, that's gonna be a kill. Yeah, what decides it at the end here is just pure fundamentals or pure RPS maybe. Guess right on the throw option on the strike throw. I mean, it's like in his core, Asuka has a lot of layers, has a lot of different guessing games attached, but you know, in their core, just about every character is a strike throw character in Guilty Gear Strive. Right. Summoning a new repertoire of cards, and this could be very close to a kill. Anji is definitely one of the higher defense modifier character though. And now, utilizing the basic cubes, gets themselves into a 5D distance, and once again the tap dust seems to be one of the go-to tools to end rounds with. The F Shiki was blocked like on the first game of this set. Yo, Anji 2P, are you fucking kidding me? What is that? I mean, arguably you were kind of close to the arpeggio, and the closer to arpeggio you are, the easier the cubes are to pull. But if you are that close, you're also contending with the main body, Asuka himself. And like, Asuka doesn't usually just sit there and let you poke into the cubes, right? Lives barely. Again, Bit Shift is the only offensive spell in hand. Ooh, frame tapped into 6 heavy. We got a big one coming. Luckily for Strelitzia though, the mana shield was so high up there that even like 2 full combos probably wouldn't have been able to pop it. So far so good for Strelitzia. And that I'm still kind of like mind blown. The situation where Strelitzia managed to basically recover in that first game basically shows how I think the most important ability for Asuka players is crisis management. You could think about it like this. All right, so I have a high variance character. Sometimes I draw garbage hands and I can attribute, oh, hold that thought, we get a big close slash counter hits here. That's on a poppy opponent as well. Goes into an early super cancel for the wall. No, never mind, actually not gonna take the wall. I think that was into the early super cancel for the purpose of not taking the wall and not letting the opponent like get an improved Oki position. Starting with a 2S. He's a hit, finds another one, and could take the wall here, or could drop Asuka in front of them before that wall stick becomes an issue. Should be able to build the 50 here, yeah. Oh no, never mind. Just dropping the combo again. Maybe looking for the mana shield pop. Now, even if Strelitzia bursts here, there's not a whole lot that they can do. That was a very clean change of pace here, where Poki gets in very early. Very strong RPS read right from the get-go. Won that round start 2S, tried to go for it again. However, this time, Strelitzia did have the Screamer in hand, which is a very, very tough thing to challenge. Or we have the slowdown staff. The deceleration staff, which actually makes the cubes a little easier to poke into because they move so slow. And I think that's generally one of the less desired staffs that you can pull from. Is that from test case 3? I think that's from test case 3. It's usually what people refer to as the useless staff, right? Because the other one is just so much more powerful and you would always want to draw the other one. I've seen Asuka players just discard that. Jesus, that 2P from Anji is is a good one. It cleaves, like, the thing is, it reaches so far and it reaches so high up in the air, especially, that it has a wide coverage for both cubes approaching from the ground as well as from, like, mid-range or even high angles. And just like that, it was snap of the fingers. I got caught in a side tangent that Poke has already taken another game. That's the kind of momentum that we're gonna be working with. One good read from round start, and the wizard could be dead. Goes for an overhead in the form of 6 heavy. Low option, 6k here. Poke does block that though. A lot of good offensive spells in hand. Keep the hand, break the wall with super. And now, from that hard knockdown, we have a couple of options here that we can do. Best case 3 draws Arpeggio, which is the cornerstone of all good mix-ups. Arpeggio being the gate spell that opens up or sends a couple of different waves of cubes at the opponent, has so far wide coverage, so like keeps the opponent in block stun for such a long time that there's a lot of things that you could do during those cubes. You could just do like a standard high-low. We could also use teleports to mix up with left-right, among other things. Yep, there's the left-right option. There's one more. That's the mix-up. And the left-right again! And because the teleport spell is so plentiful in test case 3 as well, it's the likelihood of drawing into that when you have, you know, your arpeggios available is pretty high. But I mean, that also means that sometimes you might draw too many of those. Like, drawing 2 or 3 teleport spells at the same time, definitely not the best prospect for Asuka. That burst has been used here. The Black Hole Staff is at a very high angle, even though... Oh my god, Poke actually went for a Kara Nagiha, which due to the limited low profiling features will be able to tag Strelitzia without touching the Black Hole Staff. Interesting, that was a really great decision making there. But it is not done yet. The wizard gets the cast. Hard bait. Poke doesn't take it. Instead goes straight into one hit confirm. I mean, I guess there was a couple of hits before the super, but, you know, close enough. Looking for one more hit, plus frames. YRC. Makes connection with Anji, and again, the great use of the P buttons. It's not just the 2P, but also the 5P as an anti-air option. Tried to get a jump in there, but the yellow cube has a high enough angle to work as a makeshift anti-air. Still working with the test case 1, and now very close to a mana pop. Oh no! The burst was basically geared towards trying to save the mana shield, which Strelitzia is still trying to work to save, but the 6P makes the pop happen. A massive, massive damage inbound. That's a kill. Goodbye, cruel world. My defensive modifier all gone. Poke evens it up 3-3. I was kind of wondering how Anji does play this matchup on high level, but so far, Poke has shown that it's basically like you don't have, how should I put it? You don't have get out of jail for free cards. You're not a Sin-Kisk, like you can't just poke into the cubes and then cancel into a sick-ass special move. But, I mean, not canceling that 2P is pretty okay as well, because it takes such good care of the standard cubes. That means, basically, like, you can't keep, oh my god, again, the Karanagi! Able to screw up the homingness. Homingness, is that even a word? The homing feature of the overhead spell. Strelitzia throwing into a couple of standard spells, or standard cubes even. Tried to tap 5D, nobody's home, Poke's too far. Terra Metron. A great whatchamacallit, a great gift from the heavens, exactly when Strelitzia needed it for great coverage. Tried to go for a close slash anti-air, but many characters in the game don't have a high reaching enough close slash to reach Anji after core. And now the pressure continues. Next hit could be the mana shield. Tried to go for a shimmy. This time, no shimmy for you. I press 2P instead. If you try to shimmy, you are actually gonna get caught. The manual delay there on the frame trap. Caught him. And now shuffling decks. Right, finds a pretty decent spell. Ooh. Yeah, I think Poke realized too late, or perhaps because the distance was completely full screen. Even when Strelitzia was casting the... Went for a burst bait there at the end as well. I mean, I guess there weren't a lot of good options for Poke. Knew that Strelitzia was gonna bait the burst, but if I burst into it, then I'm just gonna die. Because Strelitzia was waiting for the OTG situation afterwards. But yeah, what was I saying? God, this Asuka character is such a fast-paced one. And especially when you're trying to cast somebody who is so good at the character, there's like 10 different things that you would like to comment at every single moment, but you can only pick like so few. Ooh, again. Oh, luckily for Strelitzia, the opponent was very far away once that blue burst happened. Right, trade out of the corner, but we have a little bit of real estate to work with. RC at the end, yeah. It's kind of like the pace where you're trying to do enough of those charged Fujin follow-ups that you, in the end, get the 50 meter that you can then use to cancel even if you do a non-charge one to try to break trap them. Ooh, great super jump over. That was a dash super jump as well. I think nothing else would have done. You needed a really great angle to be able to get through the, was it the green cubes? Next overhead spell. Teleport to the other side. Even without arpeggio, you can create these mix-up situations with even basic cubes. And that's gonna be enough for Strelitzia. The tricky thing, of course, is if the opponent does block your teleport mix-up, that puts you generally close to the opponent in the danger zone. Nice timing on the Screamer. And nice timing on the anti-air as well, using a 5P. I guess the advantage for the 5P over 6P is that if you whiff a 6P against that jump D momentum staller from Anji, you're cooked, right? But if you use 5P, which has very little recovery, you should be pretty okay. So it's definitely the safer option. Now, Strelitzia once again trying to fish for the burst, but the burst never comes out. It's a very interesting metagame between the players where they both know that the burst bait is gonna happen, but you know, there's really, like, even if you know as the defending player, if you have too little health left, ooh, nice dance there. Even like if you have, if you don't have enough health left, like there's really nothing you can do about it. Now, Strelitzia is in, is this test case 1 or 2? I think it's 1, right? Or no, this is actually 2. So we have an overabundance of the high and low spells in test case 2, plus a couple of really funky staffs that create situations that you don't generally tend to see very often. Ooh, with a TK multi-hitting cube into an overhead. Rings true. Ooh, not the cleanest ender there. Was, again, probably worried about the burst that might have happened from Poke. Very low on mana, so getting reversals here is definitely a concern. Poke with the 2P. Oh, and the butterfly is still coming down! The completely empty hand, finally able to get some spells in there. Misses the Crowler Screamer. The wrong game, not quite the Crowler. What? The Poke with a madness attempt there, tried to counter super from basically half screen away. It looked like initially Poke was moving forward quite a bit. So if Strelitzia was maybe like 1 or 2 character lengths closer, I think that reversal super might have actually worked out. Because like during the flash, it does move you forward really fast. Right from the Midare into a mana shield pop plus frames. Are you gonna try to press a button here? Do you dare, or do you wait for the mana shield? And Strelitzia with the patient, the safest possible place, even if the opponent is like basically twerking on you, just doing micro dash close slash, it's not safe to challenge because you don't have your defensive modifier. Alright, looking much better now. Ooh, one more attack spell in hand. Strelitzia basically working with only one attack spell slot. Able to save themselves, teleport into safety. That was a great, that was a genius teleport. And from that, able to use Star Arpeggio. Get 2D, trying to fit, because Strelitzia knows that Poke is so good at basically deleting both the volleys of the Arpeggio. This time tries to defend the, what angle? What angle? Poke mixing it up. Nice use of Screamer once again. Puts herself really high in the air and then using the Screamer to cover distance. Basically anything that could come out is gonna get caught by it. Now, however, it looks surprisingly good to dance into the the Screamer. And because the mana shields went pop, it actually caused a massive atomic bomb at the end for Poke. That was a good timing to get the pop. And now, even though Strelitzia only needs one more, it doesn't feel as bad for Poke anymore. Considering how much success Poke has always had as soon as he gets in the striking distance, but now we are in a really tough spot. No burst to save himself with. And Strelitzia just doing what is this combo? Basically combo limit maximum. Ooh, from 5B, missed optimal anti-air combo and gets punished on the way down. Unfortunate. If Poke somehow converted that 5B successfully, it could have looked like a completely different kind of round. Nice backdash out of the Midare there. It's the downside. If you dance into a strike, usually you can't do anything. There's no backdashing. You are gonna take that Midare unless you RC, period. But if you dance into projectiles, usually opponent has recovered already, so the RPS is not quite as clear cut. Right burst to negate the full Arpeggio, and now no attack spells in hand, so Strelitzia will have to go into an FRC momentum manipulation to work with the neutrals, sorry, the normals. And that's gonna be a kill. Poke is gonna go down if he takes one more hit, dances through, but again, the Midare. Oh, the instant air dash works out, very little mana left. One hit, that's it, pop goes the Weasel. Deflect shield, however, I thought that was the right option for Poke. 6-6 RC drift forward as soon as you saw the deflect shield, or perhaps Poke thought that or knew that that was gonna happen, but it didn't put him at a frame advantage, it looks like, or maybe it was rather neutral. But this 5B from Strelitzia preventing from the pressure going on anymore, and that was the last piece of that was the last hope for Poke. He needed to put Strelitzia in a situation where there's no cast, there's no buttons, there's no counterplay whatsoever. Just didn't have the health for it anymore. But I gotta say, I learned a lot for what Anji can actually do in this matchup from this one. This was a really technical one to watch and a very interesting matchup. Very good matchup. I mean, technically, both of these players always deliver really good matches. So it was destined to be a crowd favorite. It was destined to be a sick-ass match. All right, our second Sin player of the evening in the form of Rygand, that guy himself. I gotta say, when I was looking at the sign-up cards and I was like, what does Rygand's text mean? What does Rygand's message mean? I was like, I don't get it. But now when I see it on the card, it's like, I get it. It's still growing, it's still balding. I get it now. I'm a little slow, but I get it. Now, Rygand's opponent today, Talla, definitely the more experienced player on their character. However, if we strictly talk about like these characters, sorry, these players on their main characters, of course you would always give the advantage to Rygand. Rygand is not playing Mei this time though, not playing his main character. In fact, this is how many weeks? Is this like third week that Rygand is playing Sin, something like that? Had a really successful first entry on Bounty Hunters on his Sin earlier. But now we're increasing the difficulty setting. We're putting Rygand against even stronger players, and it's gonna be quite the challenge to check if Rygand has been able to not just, you know, bring more tools, bring enough new material for just strictly Sin play, but also crack the matchup in the little time that they've had to practice. And it's a very interesting matchup in the sense that, like, Sin has a lot of counterplay against Bridget, just from, like, intuitive play, but there's also a lot of non-intuitive counterplay that you know, might not have down unless you know, have played the matchup a lot or asked somebody, like, how do I, like, what are the things that I can actually do against Bridget? But one of my favorite things for Sin against Bridget is once the yo-yo toss goes out, it's like Sin is pretty good at defending your space and preventing the what's it called? The rolling movement going online. Oh, but Roger Super tracks well enough to not let Elkan go under. Releases the DP there. Rygand was working with a potential safe jump there, so basically Talla is like, all right, show me the timing, show me that you can do it, and if you can't, I'm actually gonna start DPing your safe jump setups. Because Rygand, this is a little slow, 11 frame starter, and yep, Talla knows the counterplay. This actually is something that has escaped the opponents of Sin players earlier this day, or like earlier tonight, when the first hit of RTL lands on block. There's actually not a whole lot that Sin can do to save himself. Alright, break on the kickstart from very good distance here. The second was even better. The double jump and then the jump D in the form of very momentum stalling. Ooh, the double jump actually allows Rygand to get out of the tracking range of the Roger Super. Here's the DP, representing it for the first time. Both players, of course, have one. Trading it back and forth. However, is it gonna recover fast enough? No! The reversal super is fast. Waiting for the DP, maybe. Do you want to use it? Oh my god, Talla just unleashes kickstart into an immediate high follow-up. Or the shoot follow-up. My god! That was such a great option as well, because, like, at that time, you're probably thinking like, all right, so I need to connect one more special move on block. And I don't have a lot of stuff that can reach that kind of angle that Rygand is playing at the moment. So I'm just gonna shoot immediately up there. Attended to 6P, that's the very layer one. Ooh, lands behind! And we got the basic combo. Yes, indeed. Last week, Rygand had a little bit of difficulty landing the basic DP one stamina combo, but now it looks like he's got it down. Waiting for the DP. Nah, doesn't come out this time. Nice being able. Oh my god! Immediately after Rygand gets out of there with a backdash, Talla shoots for it again. Command grab. Technically reactable, but in the heat of the moment, can be a very difficult thing. Goes under the far slash with the use of Elkant. It's another great tool that can, like, we always say how, like, keep telling how good 6P is against Bridget pokes. That, ooh, wait a second, I thought that Talla was baiting there. But turns out, I guess she already queued up like 2S or something. Yep, once again, round star Elk. goes goes under that far slash as well as 5 heavy both. And it goes under the yo-yo sets as well, so there's like all the layer 1 options are basically just demolished by Elk Hunt. Which kind of forces the Bridget player to use the button she would not like to use too often, which is 2S. I mean, it's a good button, but it's not one of her, not one of her best buttons. Let's put it like that. One stamina conversion. Yep, wall break. Now, the problem here is Talla has a lot of resources, but doesn't have life. Perfect. Yes, yes. I was about to say, don't let Talla get into the offensive situation. Don't let her get into a place where she can utilize those resources and put you in a situation where there's like not a whole lot where you can interact. So Rygand assumes a defensive position, defends the space in front of him with the use of jump heavy. And Talla, would she use the kickstart into a shoot immediately? I guess that might actually lose against the jump heavy because jump heavy has such a massive disjoint. Another thing I'm noticing for Rygand is that he's way more grounded this time around. The Mei was shining through on the first week, but now this resembles Mei player no longer. Like I can't tell. If I didn't know Rygand was a Mei player, I wouldn't be able to tell like what character does this player usually play? Nah, he's got the clean hits as well. We didn't see too many of those last time, but now. And using the 5P frame kill as well to set up a meaty Elk there. That's a sequence that tends to catch a lot of people, especially because Elk often auto-kills backdashes. And in that kind of situation, that kind of spacing, people are often thinking like, oh, so you're not coming at me? All right, I'll backdash. But the Elk still gets you. But now Talla working with the corner pressure. Ooh, nice use of 2 heavy! It looked like Rygand was initially FD blocking, but then let it go. I see something starting up. It was either RTL or Elk, because the startups of those moves look kind of similar. I actually got mixed up there. Neutral trade into... Able to set up the yo-yo. It's especially the passive yo-yo set. What did Talla go over with? I've never seen anything like that. What was that? How did she dodge this Elk Hunt? That was really interesting. All right, working with a good combo. Nice life lead as well. Rygand swings the 6P, and in the modern patches, if you whip a 6P, you're very, very, very punishable no matter what character you are. So we were kind of promoting the usefulness of 6P in some of the sets earlier this week. And I mean, we had a couple of people who were really insistent on using that 6P as well, but they've sort of equalized the whatchamacallit? Equalize the situation between the different 6Ps among the cast. I think the recovery is now universal, so you're basically just as whiff punishable as every other character when you're whiffing 6P now. So you no longer have like nutty cases such as like Zato, who whiffs his 6P like I can't even remember how many frames it was, but like it was not very much. Right, for the great air throw. The chase down, has to spend the RC here in order to keep the pressure going. But Elk Hunt, the jump scare. Making sure that the wall break does happen here. Required basically all of the resources from Rygand. What? A vacuum air throw? But that must have been from a full last pixel distance. I'm so blown away by Talla's spacings and the neutral interactions. How did that air throw actually reach? That was crazy. All right, Rygand going to the other side, utilizing the far range, the horizontal range, and the disjoints of the jump heavy. Ah, but there we go. The Elk Hunt has a little bit of anti-air properties going under the rolling movement. Churara! Is that you, Churara? One hit confirm into TB. Seeing it live here, I think that's the first time I ever see any Sin player use that. And because Rygand has been watching Churara so much, of course you would also copy that tool. And I think that time Rygand was basically 0 stamina, so there was no other conversion that could happen other than the S button into immediate TB. This is third strike now. Third strike, baby. Right, 2-2 situation here. Super even. Heading into the mid game. Spending 2 stamina, waiting for DP perhaps. I think that was the first time that Rygand actually played the 2 stamina burn into the +6. And basically, that was a lot of... Oh, there we go. Do we get the burst? Burst comes out. Look at the side. No punish on the landing there. I think the jump D does introduce quite a lot of landing frames, and it's like especially noticeable if you completely miss your jump D. If you land on block, then there's still some layers for canceling on the landing frames. There we go. The big counter hit immediately into RTL. This not quite gonna be a kill, but will put Rygand in a very nice position. 100 meter ready to be used though. BRC slows down the frame, sees that Rygand tries to backdash, catches. Would Rygand spend the burst here though? Getting really high, yeah. Considering that we're getting to a really high tension situation and the stamina was coming back as well, Rygand definitely wanted to play with the remaining resources. Alas, just not able to get into the position to use any of that. Oh no, that was DP from so far away. So Talla will have to commit her burst early into the round. That was a max range of 5 heavy. He's bait on the jump. Sorry, bait on the 6 speed to the other side. It's a kind of situation that, or a sequence that Rygand really loves to use a lot. Now from the throw. Same OTG. Oh, was it Talla? I think Talla was trying to go for a YRC, but because the hit stop was a little weird there from the OTG setup that Rygand used, that kind of screwed up Talla's timing completely. Alright, dead even situation. Even on games, even on rounds, almost even on the burst resources as well. Rygand didn't quite have the second stamina there to go for the full hoof conversion. But we'll be able to draw the burst away from Talla. Now, as a result, we'll have to take this corner pressure from Bridget. Great for Talla being able to build into that 50 meter just before the wall break. Allowing the positive bonus loop. Rygand will probably have to burn some sort of resources here to get out, or just utilizing the threat of the DP, making Talla hesitate, and then we strike into maximum conversion. RTL? Nope, we go basically saying that I don't think the 100% RTL is gonna kill here. We just take it. Yeah, there we go. We just save the 50 meter, the remaining 50 meter into the next screen, and indeed that 50 meter that Rygand had in there is gonna help him bait the YRC, elk into straight RC. Serves a lot of different purposes. I mean, hoof elk usually, like, without stamina you would usually RC immediately anyway, but it can also serve as a bait against like immediate burst or immediate YRC too. Ooh, interesting. Again, the same kind of really far away DP here that Talla has been playing a couple of times before. Is it like maybe expecting a 2 stamina burn into Gazelle Step? I reckon that's probably it. Ooh, perfect uses of the jump heavy from a far away distance. Sin can jump in, but Sin can play the horizontal air-to-air game. And from a 6 speed, yeah, wouldn't have been able to confirm anything else after that hit, but luckily the opponent was already so low that we don't need anything else. Waiting for the DP, DP never comes. Punishing on the way out of the corner. and punishing even more. There we go. Rygand had 0 stamina, so great decision making once again, understanding how to manage the resources on this character, this Sin Kisk. And now Talla going in aggressively. However, wasn't able to produce enough plus frames, and Rygand just taking the burst like an old champion, like the pro that he is, playing at such a high level. Even though this is a sub character, it is shining through. This man plays at some like almost an unreachable level to many of us mere mortals. And even though it is still early steps for Rygand Sin, I think Rygand has said that this is a character that he wants to take to a competitive level. He wants to have another character along with Mei, potentially even like if God so allows, take the Sin even to a higher level than Mei. It is sort of a meta pick at the moment after all. And Rygand is one of those players who are really concerned with the competitive play. Attend a lot of tournaments, attend a lot of, competitive events. Wants to get maximum value out of their character. What nice check on the elk there. Yeah, that's one of the buttons that you can use if you don't want to use the 2S, if you don't want to utilize the active frames to catch the elk, you could use the fast startup of your 2P. But it definitely opens you up to whiff punishes in a slightly different way. So if your opponent is poking at you with disjoints, for example, or beak driver, it could end up catching you. Here we go once again. Big driver. Oh no! I think Talla wanted to go for a reversal DP as well, but missed the timing and produced the 2P there on Wake Up. I think that's a very common occurrence for many Bridget players I've seen, that they miss the DP timing and then get a P button, and then afterwards, as the P button hits, then the DP comes out. But it's too late and it's gonna whiff. Pick up Rygand on landing. Producing plus frames, although from that distance you're not gonna... I was about to say, you're not gonna get like your best pressure started, but I think neither of these players are looking for their best pressure starters at all. Even a stray hit is gonna do, but is it gonna be enough for Talla? Yes indeed! One hit into a wall break is gonna be enough. And Talla definitely not ready to give up just yet. Even though Rygand had a little bit of a lead, we're fighting. I think Talla also... I think I caught Talla saying that they were a little more confident than at the start of the week playing this matchup. Has probably been practicing it quite a bit, trying to get... Oh my god, the anime round start! Cashing up on all of that respect and dashing up on Talla. Jumping over the yo-yo sec, good anti-air. The yo-yo is behind though, so won't be able to utilize it. I think that was a passive set as well. Burst has been used for both players. Nice break out of the yo-yo twirl, or the rolling movement. It's kind of like every time you go into the rolling movement, you're RPSing with the opponent and their anti-air options. And the cool thing for Sin has a lot of different ways of defending his airspace. Could use 6P, but doesn't have to. Can use Beak Driver, can use Elk Hunt, can use instant air backdash jump heavy. All of those cover a huge area of different angles that you can try to catch the opponent coming in, depending on what sort of angle you think they're gonna use from that rolling movement. Ooh, there's enough delay for Rygand to get an S button in there. RC, guarantee the wall break once again. Massive life lead, and now the positive bonus as well, but Rygand is on a defensive position here, waiting for the stamina to recover. Jump B, hard to go into anything else than RTL, unfortunately. 6P, run in. Stripe style! Counter hit close slash, knows that would have been the end. Did Talla press a button? Oh, I think she did, but Rygand was a little too high up in the air. The Wild Assault conversion slightly off the beat, but uses the second button skip back into the pressure situation. And that is such a strong tool, especially for ZoKHiZ, especially for character who has, you know, has an external resource that you need to juggle. When you run out of that external resource that you basically use for everything, for pressure, for combos, for just about anything, you can utilize the Wild Assault instead. Because you have the red type, and Sin has so good cancel buttons out of the red Wild Assault as well. It's almost like a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, I'm out of stamina, so what? I'm gonna use Wild Assault and just, you know, do more pressure, wait for my stamina, mix my opponent up, and if they don't find a way to exit the pressure, then I'm gonna have like 1 or 2 stamina at the end of my pressure string again. Ooh, big counter hit. It's arguably a very, very good burst, because that would have probably taken Rygand the corner as well at the end of the combo. I'll spend 2 stamina. Ooh, from that into that DP, or sorry, that close slash counter hit once again. Talla, I think, I'm not quite sure what Talla's counter plays. I believe it's the DP, because I've seen Talla try to DP from a situation where Rygand hits like big 1 in sort of anticipation to potentially the 2 stamina burn. Next hit is gonna be a crucial counter hit. Should be a kill, right? No, not quite. The heavy boy, the defensive heavy boy ZoKHiZ, getting especially his guts improved in some of the newer versions, has put Sin into actually one of the highest. Again, there it is again. Talla must be waiting for the stamina burn, because there's no other reason why the DP should come out from that distance. And I think Rygand has sort of realized that that's the case. So I don't necessarily have to burn the stamina. I could wait. I could wait for the DP. The RTL, I think Talla is respecting here. Yep. Oh, that's beautiful play for Talla. Not only getting the best punish, but also transitioning into a good burst bait. But this is not yet a done deal. Rygand is at full stamina here, and getting 1 hit for Sin could be absolutely crucial. The combo, if Talla doesn't drop, should get the win. Yes, indeed. All right. Right at Rygand's tail. It feels like Rygand has always been... Oops, wrong player. There we go. 5-4. It feels like Rygand has been like 1 step ahead in terms of the score, but Talla definitely not too far behind. And it's like 1 adjustment away from Talla being able to grasp the set. I think it's some of the especially some of the stamina burning RPS situations that could be a little more controlled. Maybe talking about the DP, but I mean, the fact of the matter is you have to have, like, when Sin exerts his, like, when Sin forces his turn, you gotta have some sort of a counter plan. And it's better to have a reckless counter plan to not have any sort of counter plan at all. Or at least, in my opinion, that's the case. Right, 6P out of the air, into plus frames, into a shoot. Unfortunately, he switches the sides. So now Rygand is gonna be working with the corner position. DP again, very brave. Not spending the Gazelle follow-up, I think wants to maintain the full stamina. Basically saying, if I get 1 more hit, you're dead because I have stamina. The downside is that you're gonna go back to neutral unless you spend the Gazelle. It is risk and reward sort of kind of thing. All right, catching the backdash right from the get-go. Are we gonna build? Burn? Yes. That was the right combo choice, I think, but Rygand didn't get the frame perfect 2K out there. That should generally work, I think. And again, the Churara conversion! Getting a clean hit here would have broken the wall and getting Rygand the victory, but it's so hard. Can't blame Rygand for hitting all of those. Like, nobody hits all of those, right? Nice DP on the hoof. Rygand has a lot of life to spend still. Goes for a DP. Nice bait. Maybe the burst has to come out, or does it? Or does it? Talla is looking for it. Getting the hard knockdown. Rygand with 100. RTL PRC, right? Yep, RTL PRC. There's like no other way. It couldn't go any other way. Now Rygand is struggling to get that last hit. Here comes the homing once again. Plus frames into 2S. Spend the the Wild Assault as well into more plus frames. Rygand just had to hold so much pressure with so little health left. And that'll put Talla once again in an even position, 5-5. Both players need 2 more to come out of this victorious. I was initially a little worried that maybe this match was not gonna be even. And let's be honest. I thought Rygand was gonna be the one that's like not gonna fare well, because you know Talla is a slightly more experienced player on their character, but you know, you should never underestimate how well the fundamentals of Strive just transfer between, like, from character to character. It is a much more of a homogeneous Guilty Gear game than the past installments, but that can be a good thing. That means that you can actually switch between the characters. You can actually switch mains without having to like commit the rest of your life to that character. Like, maybe see me in 2 years, maybe I'm gonna have a new main by then, maybe, but probably not. But not for Strive. It doesn't work like that for Strive. Ooh, okay. Oh my god, actually gets side switch as well. Rygand showing me new combos. Alright, good check there. Too heavy, puts Rygand airborne once again. FD when it matters. A lot of different resources here. Deflect shield, full burst is available as well. RTL, here comes the blue burst. And a perfectly spaced jump heavy once again is the go-to tool. Yeah, there it is again. Talla trying to DP. I mean, technically, so between Beak 1 and Beak 2, if there is even a frame of delay, you can interrupt it. So technically what Talla is saying, if you cancel Beak 1, Beak 2 airtight, it doesn't come out. But if you leave a gap, then it will... Oh no! Tried to go for a reversal DP once again. Came out as 2P, and then the faithful DP. That was the whiff. Rygand goes into the 6 points first. Yeah, the problem, so the quality of DPs is, there is a discrepancy here. Sin, hitbox-wise, I think top 1 DP in the game, no contest, right? It reaches so far horizontally and vertically, it's not even funny. Whereas Bridget DP has a little bit of a problem with its reach. Right, able to frame trap with that kickstart. The neutral jump slash coming down, but in the end has to spend the burst to get out of there. But it could definitely be worth it. We are coast to coast now, baits the DP, and the close slash punish. It was all worth it in the end. Too bad for Talla that she wasn't able to build into that 50 tension that would have probably been able to seal the deal. Now Rygand with the comeback combo. Give a clean hit. Yes, indeed. Rygand is surprisingly efficient. I think every single corner TP has been a clean hit this set. Only missed that clean hit on that mid-screen TP ender, which honestly was it's hard. It's hard. Right, now burning the stamina this time. Yeah, I think Rygand is still baiting for that potential DP after the beak driver. Applies a DP of his own. Into safe jump. Ooh, missed it again. This is still like one of the problems that Rygand was having last week as well. Getting the safe jump, especially the FDC timing out perfectly. Because like you can't just do an instant air dash safe jump. No. For Sin, you have to do an FDC before that so that you get like a deep enough jump. And now Talla on a hard knockdown this time. Doesn't hit that. Oh, very aggressive here. And Talla is gonna get it close. No, he whips. No way. pushes Sin too far away, and again, the neutral jump. I see a little bit of Blisk in there as well. The neutral jump into like a late air dash jump heavy. I'm pretty sure I see that from Blisk from time to time. It's so beautiful to see how like a lot of different Sin players are coming together as a little bit of an amalgamation in Rygand. Trying to go for a 6P, however, the low profile poke, oh my god, just dash in there. And 2 stamina standard burn. Alright. I guess first corner TP clean hit missed, but it doesn't matter that much. Rygand takes the glow slash, that's gonna be a decent amount of damage, and a corner carry as well. Talla has so many resources, got the backdash again. It is a heavy body backdash after all, which means it has the full 6-frame invis, but it's also very slow on recovery. And we are gonna move into the last game of this set. At this point, it's already set in stone. It's a certified banger. It's one of the best matches, one of the best sets I've ever casted. Maybe a little biased because I'm so excited about not just, you know, Rygand, but Rygand playing my character. And has improved so much within these like 3, 4 weeks, something like that. Starts with the L count, goes under the far slash once again. But Talla as well, the adjustments to the difficult matchup that is arguably, is this one of Sin's best matchups? Maybe? Not gonna speculate too much though. By passing each other. Ooh, got the backdash, however, Talla was a little too far away. The DP with though, no stamina burn, no resource burn from Rygand, so missing an opportunity to finish here. However, this ain't gonna be an easy comeback for Talla. Rygand has so many resources. Can PRC this, right? No! Wait, that was no! I think Talla hesitated. I thought that Rygand would build that 100 meter, but I think there was an FD somewhere in there that put Rygand below the 100, so wasn't able to get the PRC immediately. But that hesitation there. And now Rygand is on set point. Good 6P. Ooh, that's gonna hit. So wall break for Rygand from half screen away. And maybe checkmate situation. No burst available. Deflect shield is one of the only things that Talla could do here. Other than the other universal things. Aggressive burst. Rygand wants to end it here. Finds a hit. Burns it. And the burst comes back just in time. Talla still has a chance. Good 6P. Has to play it perfectly. Look at the timing. The delay. Waiting for the DP. The DP never comes. Here comes Talla. Is this gonna be able to recover in time? No! The RTL once again! Look, this is one of the best DP characters in the game, but he also has the perfect tool to play alongside the DP. If you bait the DP, if you try to disjoint this character from far away, RTL will still catch you. You're safe nowhere on the screen. Even if you're horizontally far away from Sinkisk, he can still send it with RTL. And that's exactly what Rygand did in a lot of these situations. When he recognizes that you're not in DP distance, let it rip. 50 meter. Wow, what a set. The baldening is happening indeed. Now, one more to go, and this is another Finnish player taking their side character for a spin. ZoKHiZ Baiken. Would you have ever imagined? I would never have believed I would utter these words, ZoKHiZ and Baiken, in the same sentence. Yet here it is. I think this is week 1 for ZoKHiZ, so this is a huge wildcard match. So initially this was supposed to be Radune versus... who was it? Radune versus somebody, I forgot. But because that matchup fell through, we took a quick call to ZoKHiZ and asked if he would like to play instead. And yeah, not quite sure what's gonna happen here. It's very new character for ZoKHiZ. Radune, of course, sticking to his guns. You know what's gonna happen as soon as this intro sequence ends. I know, you know, your sister knows, everybody knows what's gonna happen the first interaction. Radune is gonna hit something with heavy button. Or wait, would he? What if he doesn't? Wouldn't it be the biggest mindfuck if Radune doesn't heavy DP? He tries to do it, however, ZoKHiZ uses a heavy disjoint button. The heavy DP is not invulnerable anymore after all. But it is the tried and true Radune handshake round start for the first match of the set. Right, into plus frames. Yep, able to utilize that. Do we have the combos as well? Not sure, but ZoKHiZ is definitely recognizing that I don't need to finish this combo normally. I can just burn the 50 meter and end it right here. There we go, going for another one. Was that that was the SDP, right? And it's gonna be interesting because, like, for the parry stance, there's gonna be a lot of RPS because Baiken has actually a fairly far-reaching low that can break Leo from the guard point stance, right? Which is Baiken's too heavy. Waiting for the DP, DP never comes. Maybe it was actually waiting for the burst. And once again, the too heavy seems to be the button that just provided so much value for ZoKHiZ within those 2 games. Being able to break the parry stance or the guard point stance, depending on what definition you want to use. But also engaging for like far mid distance. Expecting ZoKHiZ to hit a button there. Ooh, nice spacing there. And the perfect timing there, waiting just a little bit before pressing the buttons, checking does the opponent wanna, try to go for a red parry there. So the difference between the normal Hiragi, the normal parry, and the red parry is that you perform red parry during your guarding frames, which makes it reduces the active frames of the guard, of the parry, but it can back parry during your defending frames or during your guarding frames, right? Ooh, Tatami Kai's actually leaving you at a very nice distance, and because you have Baiken's 9-frame far slash, it could be an issue for certain characters that don't have fast far slashes or similar buttons. Right, Gold Burst works out. We have Juice going for a very, very baity sequence here, but Radune technically does not have to burst here if he doesn't want to. I see that. Definitely tried to do the flash kick out of that jump D, but didn't get the input out. I see you. I see you. So the jump D for the like the dive kick type of jump D works very similarly between the characters who have it in Strive. So like Leo, Sin, Venom, all of those jump Ds can be cancelled on their first recovery, on the first landing frame. So even if the jump D, that move, is quite minus... What? Got the red parry there on the... Was that that? So that was RC Berserker Slash? Was that? I closed my eyes for a moment and I missed it, but that looked really fancy. Reversal Super. Did Radune hit a button? No, sir. Let's see the punish. Oh, never mind. We had the 100 meter. It's the why not kind of a thing. If you are in this live situation, of course you're gonna hit the super PRC. No fool is ever gonna not hit it. Or if you don't, you're just a fool. Into the jump D RPS again and taps the 5D! Radune was able to do that because he canceled from the jump D. So usually if you don't spend meter on that jump D, you have no choice but to cancel into something. And in Leo's case, you can frame trap into the DP for sure. And you could try to extract value by going into Berserker Slash, I guess, for plus frames, if your opponent respects that much. The artist formerly known as Rekka 1, though, I think that's not a valid cancel because that's just so minus and punishable. In that case, you might as well do the DP. Alright, we have That's kind of cool. So ZoKHiZ knew that the PRC was gonna happen, so tried to red parry between the second last and the last hit, but because that was exactly the hit that Radune was gonna RC, the RC explosion actually hit ZoKHiZ out of the red parry. That's kind of funny. Alright, missed the throw on the Berserker Slash. Trying to jump over, however, the opponent is in back turn stance! You never jump on back turn, Leo! It's a fool's errand. It's such a good button. Has been such a good button in the past, and it's maintaining its status as one of the best anti-airs in the game. The downside is it does require you to first activate the back turn stance somehow. Throwing the heavy fireball, making sure that ZoKHiZ is gonna land in it. Ah, I see. So because the Gun Super recovers so fast, I guess Radune would have had to do something like an air throw there before the Gun Super recovers in the air. I actually didn't know that it recovers that fast. Ah, missed the combo. Doubling it up though. Good RPS. We have the routes. Yeah, ZoKHiZ hasn't really had a clean opportunity to utilize like a full combo sequence yet. But now this round, this game, had a couple of really good options and didn't drop any one of them. So putting on show how just a couple of extensive days of gaming on a new character can get you so far. I wonder, because like I'm pretty sure that ZoKHiZ is still like not the most happy with the current state of Potemkin. Like, don't get me wrong, Potemkin is probably one of the toughest characters in the game, one of the best characters in the game at the moment. It doesn't fix the issue that ZoKHiZ doesn't like the current design of Potemkin, so might still be kind of looking for a side character or perhaps even a main character to play at the moment. I tried to parry there again. Here we go, plus frames. There's nothing you can really do about this. And steals the corner, cross up with the use of Berserker Slash. This is one of the things that you gotta pay attention to. Leo can always cross you up with that Berserker Slash, even when you are back against the corner. Just like that. There are very few, or there are a couple of cases where you can't throw Leo. Usually when, you know, the Berserker Slash is done as a melee or from a FRC or something like that. And again, steals it! ZoKHiZ get the burst back. No time to burst here. We could maybe sink that burst into a Wild Assault. Gun Super goes through. Actually, yeah, actually erases the heavy fireball there. Punish there on the landing, yeah. Was kind of falls straight into the heavy fireball and presses button. ZoKHiZ madness from the blast frames of the DP, but alas, just doesn't have the life anymore. The RP is against Leo, and especially Radune Leo. So we're gonna move side by side in this set as well. 2-2. As some of our most OG, get this, some of our most OG players. These two have been with us since the beginning of time, since when Bounty Hunters was still called Finnish FT7 for Exert. Back in the day, how many years ago? Freaking a decade ago, we had these two players, Radune and ZoKHiZ. They were still there, and now they're here in this new age of Guilty Gear, this tribe that has basically been forsaken by every single old school player that we had at that era, other than like ZoKHiZ and myself and like maybe a couple of others, but there aren't too many. Alright, on the back turn, tried to go for the command grab there, but ZoKHiZ. Interesting. So ZoKHiZ got a close slash there on the Berserker Slash. I wonder if he's even trying to throw it. Is he trying to parry it? Because like that could actually be way more rewards than just throw. Of course the throw is gonna be the most consistent one, but technically I guess you could react to the Berserker Slash with a Hiragi. Theoretically? Ooh, good close slash. Anti-air with a close slash instead of your 6P. Much better. There we go. Gets a successful Hiragi finally. Waits for the DP. The DP never comes. It's 2D instead. And it comes with such an awkward timing as well. If you're waiting for, like, you first... Oh. I don't think... Yeah. That's actually kind of cool punish there. Not even waiting for the Tensijin slashes to land. Just jumping out of it because we're just way out of reach. And then punishes with your favorite button, Jump D.
Duel 1.
Alright, first time that Radune takes lead in this set. Ooh, that was actually a touch on the parry stance. Because usually if you block the yaws and cross up, Rygand is gonna be quite minus. Wait, no, that wasn't true punish. Yeah. I was like, no way that the tether actually pushed Leo close enough to Baiken to get a punish after that turbulence. But no, I don't think that happens. Going with just a standard meaty here. No fear about the potential reversal parry whatsoever. I mean, arguably ZoKHiZ hasn't landed that too many times yet. So unless consistency is provided, there is no reason for Radune to be too much afraid of it. Right, wants to burst out with at least... There we go! Ooh, that's definitely an option. If you think your opponent is gonna go into the turbulence, you can try to interrupt it with one of the faster buttons. Right, into the combo. No extension this time. But now, first big mix-up. Do we have him? Oh, no mix-up, just waiting for the DP. That's how confident ZoKHiZ was that the reversal DP was gonna come out. Not even attempting any setup. Actually, I'm not sure how easy it is to even jump in on, or safe jump on 9-frame DPs. That's the DP again. And the burst as well to follow. Nice whip punish there. I think that served two different purposes. If Radune is holding it and keeps holding it, then the too heavy is gonna crush it. Again, yeah, he's trying. The Hiraki input is P, right? That's why the 5P is coming out, because he's missing the Hiraki input. Now there's the super. Would that be good? Yeah. That was so interesting. So gets the hit was basically this destined had to RC. I mean, if you RC immediately, you could get a conversion with a red RC pop-up. But I think ZoKHiZ was kind of unsure, and I was as well, unsure what would happen there. Because like, would that lock you into an animation? But of course, yeah, it doesn't, because the hitbox is coming from behind. And to lock the opponent into the full animation, you would have to hit them on the front. Try to reach for a throw there. Radune, good 6P. 6P, one of those buttons that I really... Oh, frame trap! Big frame trap into turbulence. That's gonna be lots of damage. Into tumble and the super. And now Radune, one hit away. Plays the meaty berserker slash, that one guaranteed situation where you won't be able to throw Leo. Because I mean, it is a meaty, duh. Trying to play from a safe distance here and utilizing the disjoints, such as the Kabari disjoint with a full combo. Ooh, big close slash. Wait, what was ZoKHiZ waiting for there? After getting the close slash into another button. Oh, punish. No punish. That close by, it should be. There we go. That's what ZoKHiZ must have been waiting for the whole set, searching for all his life, trying to get Hiragi on the berserker slash, and finally he's able to get it. Now, whether that is a consistent enough prospect to play, unsure, but maybe ZoKHiZ will show us. Big damage. This is quite the mountain to climb for. Oh my god, the jump D that is basically a throw crush here. Isn't that... Wait. I was like, that looks such a... That looks so much like Sin Exert jump D. But I guess technically it's not, because it's a dive kick. I mean, Sin can do that same thing in Strive with his own jump D. Missing with the Hiraki, getting punished. Clean air throw. Get into the corner, Grandpa. Regards, Grandpa. Yeah, there we go. Because Radune loves to, after the parry stand strikes, loves to try to transition into turbulence. Especially like this new patch where you can't really punish it. Ooh, ZoKHiZ wasn't able to react in time to that back turn D, but the reversal super will come out at the perfect moment. RC, yep, sees it. Now, unfortunately, Radune had to go down with so much meter, but alas, that is sometimes how it goes. Got the red parry again, no dice. This time backdashing out. I mean, ZoKHiZ is definitely trying a variety of different counterplay options against that Berserker Slash. But I mean, I guess eventually you would have to yield and be like, frick, it's not consistent enough. So I'll have to go back to the low reward, most consistent option, which would be the throw on reaction. Ooh, missing the combo. Ooh, the red parry again, tried to produce it, but missing. The red parry is, of course, much harder to hit than the normal one due to the restricted amount of active frames, I believe. Got 50 in the tank. A couple of different defensive options are possible. The 5P tab out of the pressure. Neutral trade, but I think ZoKHiZ can't afford a lot of those anymore. Not with that amount of life. And Leo is definitely here to brawl, to egg you into a scramble kind of situation, because he's basically built for it. Has all the buttons, all the rewards, and all the tools that can basically get the best of you in all kinds of close range situations. That is what gorillas are about. It is basically the definition of a gorilla, is it not? A character that just wants to go in and brawl and is confident that they can have better success than you from those brawling situations. Alright, but looking like a good round for ZoKHiZ into the safe jump. Tatami confirms a hit. And through the wall we go. Alright, once again steals the corner with the Berserker Slash. That was from an OTG poke as well. So Radune mixing it up a bit. Ooh, here's the bait. Radune not quite at the burst threshold, so maximum amount of damage coming through for ZoKHiZ. Now any hit, oh, that's one of the functions of the jump D. It does delay your momentum in the air, so it can bait the opponent's grounded anti-airs. In fact, that is probably its primary intended function. It's just Radune is very artistic, very clever, very, what's the word I'm looking for? The creative is the word I'm looking for. Very creative with the use of jump D. Dashing into the meaty. Oh my god, that's so dirty! The new thing that they did to Leo, that Leo can now in this patch transfer the dash momentum in back turn stance into his normals. That allows him to perform stagger strings that he just wouldn't be able to do before, and it looks absolutely disgusting. And I love it. Alright, go burst, works out. Now ZoKHiZ was even, there we go with the jump scare too heavy. It's like, it's a very spacing heavy, very spacing accurate game for Leo. Because you're fighting against a character who can reach you with a low from very far away. You can't afford to go too close with that parry stance. Right, this will hit again, but yeah, it's not gonna lock Leo into the animation. DP works out. One more hit. Get the throw. Get the mix-up. Are we gonna mix up again? Yeah, this time we're gonna jump in with the Yozan from the front. Tatami doesn't quite reach. What is ZoKHiZ's move here? Gun Super is available. Ooh, I think tried to go for the too heavy, but it takes a couple of frames to activate the low profiling. Boom. So technically, that's the other option that Leo can do. If you venture too close to the too heavy distance of Baiken. Just let go. Let the parry stance go. So if Baiken tries to go for the too heavy, she doesn't have the frames to start the low profile fast enough. But of course, the downside of that is if your opponent doesn't hit a button, then they could potentially whiff punish you. Although it is really difficult. Whiff punishing the parry stance strike is kind of nutty thing to do. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, ping pong. We can RC it because it's the heavy DP, and Radune putting himself on the first set point position. Now ZoKHiZ will have to play so out of his mind to be able to get this set. Good 6P. I was about to say earlier that I would much love to see these 6Ps from these Baiken players, because I know a lot of Baiken players are like, my 6P sucks, I can't use it, and I'm like, I'm using it. When I'm playing Baiken, it works out for me. And ZoKHiZ has been using that 6P successfully many a times. Ooh, clean air throw. Into. Gets mixed up with the Berserker Slash. This shouldn't quite be the kill yet. And in fact, ZoKHiZ, ooh, gets off the wall. Oh, the DP! DP caught him. Back turn D. Oh, no, this is the parry stance. Frame chops into turbulence again. ZoKHiZ is dead. Dead. That was quite a lot of stuff that happened there. Initially I thought that Radune was holding the back turn stance. So I thought the back turn D was gonna come out there, but no, it was actually the other stance. It was the guard point stance that Radune was holding, which means if the super doesn't hit low, you can parry all of it. You can even parry if the opponent has 100 meter, you can parry the RC afterwards as well, if it's the red kind, right? Wait. No, it's always gonna be a PRC, right? So red RC never. No, it's gonna be the red RC because the strike is not landing properly because you are in the guard point stance, right? But nevertheless, the point is that you can hold that stance and just wait for all the hits in the world and then release the strike. So at that point, it was kind of like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of options. I mean, I guess like super into FRC, like drift FRC throw or no. I mean, you can drift FRC into pressure situation, but then you're still RPSing with the stance. Like, is Radune gonna let it go or what? That was a nutty RPS situation at the very end there. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing if ZoKHiZ wants to stick with the Baiken a little bit longer. Definitely, like if you like an RPS character, but you would like to RPS slightly different than maybe many other characters, then Baiken is certainly one of those options that you can utilize. Not only having the reversal Hiragi as a safe jump killer and a meaty killer, but also having the red parry, the red Hiragi during which is technically a guard cancel, basically. I mean, in my head, mechanically, it's more. I look at it more as a red parry rather than a guard cancel. But I can understand if people look at it as guard cancel because that's sort of what kind of identity Baiken has had in the past, and it's like the difference is very subtle, right? But anyway, we're kind of debating, I suppose, semantics here. But yeah, it's over. It's over. What a week! It was a lot of really tight matches once again. Basically from the beginning to the end. It was actually so hyped that I didn't, like, even though I was hyped as hell, I didn't feel the fatigue this time around. That's the perfect type of hype for a caster. For a little bit of meta commentary here. All right, where are we gonna go? Is there Guilty Gear Strive on Twitch.tv? Guess we should also put it out there that if you want to play in the next event, you probably know how this already works. You can perhaps join my Discord for the sign-up forms. Those are gonna go online a couple of minutes after the stream goes down. And we'll try to match you up with somebody of your respective skill level. All that, yada yada yada. Well, there's always the Mothbit beginner bracket going on. Let's see a whole lot of other stuff. No players that I recognize. Wait, is Zidane Dolphin Zidane? Is it like the Zidane? Wait, this is the Zidane, right? The May player we have had on so many times, right? I'm pretty sure we can go raid them and see if that's actually the case. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Thank you so much for being part of making this episode of Bounty Hunters. No matter if you were a player, a viewer, or just somebody who engaged with the community. That's all cool stuff. We'll see you again next Sunday, same time, 5 p.m. CEST, like always. Now until the end of time. And yeah, we'll see you then in a week's time. Till then, stay safe. Bye-bye.